restore your youth. When you feel alone, he'll whisper my name, and in his sweet voice your heart will remain. The Spirit will guide you through the storm and the rain. He'll lift up your heart, take away all your pain. He'll speak of the Father and the Son that I am. He'll hold you forever in the love of God's hand. So listen close, child, don't turn away. The Spirit will guide you each and every day, through trials and sorrow, through joy and through strife. He'll lead you to heaven and eternal life. Father up in heaven, hear your son's request. I've done all you sent me, I've tried to do my best. Now it's time to shine your glory through, so the world may know the truth is you. I've kept your name holy, I finished your plan. Now let all creation see what you began. Through every tear, through every trial, Father, let your love shine down for a while. Father, glorify your Son. Let your light be known, so the world will see your mercy and the love you've shown. Keep them safe, Lord, make them one. Father, glorify your Son. I don't pray for the world, but for those you've called, the ones who believe, who hear your voice above it all. Keep them in your name, protect them from the fight, lead them in the truth through every darkest night. I've given them your word, I've given them your way, and I pray they'll be with me forever someday. So Father, hear this prayer that I lift to you. Make their hearts like yours, faithful and true. Father, glorify your Son. Let your light be known, so the world will see your mercy and the love you've shown. Keep them safe, Lord, make them one. Father, glorify your Son. I pray for unity, the world may.
Ladies and gentlemen, If you'll start making your way to your seats, we have 2 minutes and 42 seconds. My mission in life is to be the moderator and try to ring us all in. However, there are still going to be people coming in. Please excuse the movement. If you can restrict yours a little bit, it'll be helpful. Louder? I'm not the sound person. Everybody turn around and point at the sound people. It's okay. Since that time, we have 2 minutes before we're going to begin, and Robert is going to make his way up here. We're going to be ready, and the people that keep coming in will just keep coming in because we are on charismatic Christianity time. For those of you that go to church, you understand what that means. I'm on my way to church. Yeah, I'm fixing to get there. Welcome, everybody. I'm not going to say anything for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Well, maybe I was a little overly optimistic about starting promptly at 9 o'clock. But we're working through that, and every conversation I've come to discover with Robert is the most important conversation of that moment, and those that he talks to, he gives undivided attention to, and speaks about things that are extraordinarily important. So let me do just a little bit of setting up the day. Hopefully setting up the day. We're going to start, when we start now, we're going to go until 10:30, 1.5 hours. And at 10:30, we're going to take a break. If at any time you need to go to the restroom or stretch, please feel free to do so. There isn't any, don't leave the room. But we will, hi there.
I had to get you back.
We'll break at 10:30. We'll have about a 15-minute break. 10:45, we will begin again. And that 10:45, we will go until 12 o'clock. At that time, we'll break for lunch. I don't know if they've given you restaurants around here, but there's a ton right up at 1960. You can just run it. You have an hour and a half. So we'll begin again at 1:30. And then we will give you the schedule once. Anyway, you got the basic idea. So with that, Robert, do you want to start up here, and you can kind of, I know. Well, now you get to have fun with all of us.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
now he's got me.
Robert Marshall, would you give him a welcome, please? And now would you give that welcome to Jesus?
Can you all hear me? Can the back hear me? I didn't hear a very loud yeah back there. Oh, this is strange. A couple of things I want to talk before I'm going to come down here a little bit so that light doesn't blind me. On your chairs, you'll find a little card that says John album. It's the Book of John album. The music you've been listening to is from that album. It's actually a double volume set. It's 2 albums. And I released it in September. Before you ask, yes, Jesus gave you the words. Yes, it's me. It's a gift from Jesus to all of you. Everybody here is a double volume set. You don't have to pay for it. Go to the website on there. There's a coupon code on the card. When you go to the website, my website, and you'll see it on there as well, click on Christian music, scroll down to, and it'll have a picture of the album, just like on the card. And just below that, you'll see it says download with coupon. All right, click, it's in white, you can't miss it. Click on that and it'll take you to another page. It will ask for a password. The password is the coupon code that you have. It's Jesus is love. It's case sensitive, capital J-E-S-U-S in case you don't know how to spell that. And a little space, capital I, little s, space, and capital L-O-V-E. You can download both albums, no cost. Our gift to you guys. You can listen to them on your phone or whatever you want. All right. 2 things. One, I hope you notice there's Kleenexes down there. You may not need them, but I do, and I can't get through this without crying because it's pretty emotional at times. So if you see this, I don't have a cold. I'm not contagious. I try to keep my tears in, and sometimes it comes out my nose. So if I'm going like that, it's because I'm wiping, I guess, snotty tears. I don't know. He told you all the breaks. I wasn't paying attention to what he was saying. He's got a little flashlight that he's going to look at. What? Oh, and the duck. You have a duck? Oh, they're going to. This is my lovely wife, Carol. Stand up, please. Is this for me? No. Those of you that haven't read my first book, it comes along with a little tiny duck. And I may have Carol answer that duck a little bit later this afternoon when we get to questions and answers. What it's for. I don't know any other way to get started other than just to jump in. And obviously, though, some of you have read our book, some haven't. I don't know. If you don't, they're out there in the lobby. If you cannot afford a book, please come there anyway. We will give you one. Okay? The money goes into the ministry, and that's 100% there. I don't take anything from it. So if you can't afford it, please don't be shy. Come back. We want you to have it. It's Jesus' word. That's the whole purpose, to get his message out. So on May 19th, well, I'm going to go back even further. May 16th, 2024, I woke up with a very large mass on my neck. And it just literally came up overnight. And I noticed I was having trouble swallowing and breathing. And I told Carol, I says, I'm going to go to the emergency room and have them check this out. It was a time of COVID and stuff around there. I didn't know what this was. And I went to the emergency room, a standalone emergency room, not at a major hospital. And I went in, and I know, I got so much time. I went in, and I saw the doctor. They took me in the back room. You know how they always take you into the back and set you down and make you wait about 2 hours. They set me in a room with no TV, so I couldn't even watch golf. You know, I mean, it was, I just sat there. And by the way, if you ever see those square tiles in the ceiling, if you want to know how many holes are in there, there's 728. Because that's all I could do in there. I actually counted them. So I'm sitting there waiting. Of course, the doctor came in. And when you go into the emergency room, you know, they put little stickies on you to check your heart and, you know, the oxygen sensors. And, you know, they're going to give me steroids and oxygen. You know, I'm going like, I got a mass here. You don't even know what this is yet. But, you know, I guess they're going to give you everything that they can think of to start fighting off whatever they think it might be till they could diagnose it. And the doctor came in and he said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to draw blood and we're going to do a CAT scan of the mass to see what's going on. Don't mean to ignore you over here. I'm not trying not to ignore anybody. And the doctor told me they were going to do that. So he left and said when they get the results, they'll go over them, and then he'll come back in and you know, tell me where we're at. Of course, they got in, put me into a wheelchair, wheeled me down to the CAT scan. Now, I could walk. Now, why did they put you in a wheelchair? I don't know. You know, I didn't have anything wrong with my leg. It's my neck. But they put me in a wheelchair, and they wheeled me on down and took the CAT scan. Of course, they drew blood, and sent that off to the lab, and took me back to the room so I could count more holes. So I'm sitting in there waiting, and the doctor finally came in. And he came in, and did you ever see these little metal stools that they always have in the emergency room in the doctor's office? A little stainless steel stool, no cushion. I think that's to remind the doctors they don't want to stay there too long. I don't know why it's for. And they're on their little wheels, and he comes in, he sits down on the stool, and he scoots it forward. And he goes, okay. He says, do you want me to give it to you straight? Give it to me straight? What are you going to tell me? You got to give it to me straight. I said yes. He says, okay. He says, we've got your blood test back, CAT scan. I've looked at it, looked at the results from the blood test, and I sent it out to two other doctors, to an oncologist, okay, and another doctor. And all three of us agreed that we are about 99.9% sure this is a new strain of growth of cancer. It's very aggressive, and he said, you need to address this immediately. He said, the oncologist already cleared his calendar for you on Monday. He says, you need to go see him now. Don't put this off. This is very aggressive. Okay, thanks for giving it to me straight. Yeah, I'm going, okay, I couldn't just have a cold or COVID. No, he's got to tell me I have cancer. I said, okay. So they gave me some steroids and some other stuff, medicine and stuff like that. And he gave me the oncologist card and says, go ahead and make sure that you see him on Monday. I said, okay, I left. I drove home thinking, how am I going to tell her, Carol, what he just told me? I walked into the house, and on the way home, I decided I better just tell her. Well, I'm kind of a practical joker. I know sometimes things you don't joke about, I know. But I would always tease her anyway, and I walked in, and she's standing in the kitchen, and we got a little island there, and she said, well, what'd they say? I said, well, the doctor said he's about 99% sure that it's a new strain of cancer, and it's very aggressive. And I need to go see an oncologist on Monday. And my wife looked at me and she says, that's not something funny to joke about. And I'm going, okay, so much for being honest with her and straightforward, right? I said, I'm not joking. And she saw the look on my face. She says, all righty. We'll just have to deal with it. We'll just see what we have to do. We'll do whatever we need to do. Of course, I know inside her, I know what she was going through. And says, we'll go to Monday. We'll go see the doctor. I never made it to Monday. Friday, we woke up and it was so large. It continued to grow, and I was having trouble breathing, and it was I couldn't swallow water. I went to a place, not giving them a plug, that's got golden arches, to try and get something to eat because I couldn't eat. And I got a fish sandwich. I figured that'd be nice and easy to swallow. I chewed it up. I could not swallow it. And my wife hates McDonald's anyway, so, you love it too. Yeah, okay. I like their fish sandwiches. They're good. So I couldn't drink the soda. And I'm getting blurry vision. I mean, it was all the symptoms of you're really low on oxygen. And I didn't feel safe to drive. Carol says, we're going to an emergency room and we're going to a major hospital, which we did. She drove. Wouldn't have been safe for me because I'm like, don't know what's going on at this point. I knew it wasn't right. She drove me down to the hospital, downtown Fort Worth, and I said, drop me off at the emergency room, park the car, come on in. I'll meet you inside. She says, okay. So she dropped me off, went over there, opened the emergency room, walked in, and there's a line of about 15 people in front of me at the window. I'm going, okay, this is not going to, and now I'm having trouble standing because, I'm so I got in line, and the lady behind the counter must have sensed something. I don't know what it was, divine intervention. She kind of leaned over to the right, and she looked at me. She said, are you okay? And I said, well, I'm having a little trouble breathing, and I'm a little dizzy. My wife tells me I'm dizzy most of the time anyway, but this was a little different. And she says, you go back right away. Now, she hadn't checked me in even, which is I thought was unusual for an emergency room. And all these other people thinking, well, who is this guy? He just gets to walk right in. She pushed a button and the sliding glass doors open. She says, you go back there right now. So, okay, I'm not going to argue. I just want to sit down at this point. So I walked on through the door, and she must have pushed another button because the doctor met me about the same time I went through that door. They have special buttons, I guess, when they're supposed to get there early, because usually they make you wait. He helped me, sat down. He started examining me, checking me. Of course, they put the thing on, the oxygen sensors on, and they're doing everything else. And, I brought one of those little portable CAT scans, was it? MRIs? X-ray. Yeah. Well, he brought some machine out there looking at me funny and everything else. And he determined that I was having extreme trouble breathing. My oxygen content was probably down at that point, 87, 88, which anything below 90, they say get to the emergency room immediately. And you should have 95 to 100% to function normally. And he decided that he was going to intubate me. He was going to put a tube down my throat so they could get oxygen in there and get some of that swelling away so I could, breathe and they could address the issue further. Of course, he had the other notes from the other emergency room as well at this time about, what they're diagnosed about, cancer and everything. And so he took me into the back room, and about that time, Carol was in there now, and he told her they were going to intubate me. They put me to sleep and put the tube down my throat. They have to put you to sleep because you're not going to put a tube down my throat and put other tubes inside that tube while I'm awake. I'm going to be trying to chew that plastic tube like a kid. I'm not going to eat that, okay? So they put me to sleep, put the tube down, intubated me to get oxygen into me, and they admitted me to the intensive care unit immediately. They admitted me, but they had to get the room ready, so it was about midnight, I think, is what a lot of this, at this point, I get from the medical notes because they had me to sleep. I wasn't aware, okay? They took me up, Put me in the ICU, room number 7. Lucky number 7, right? I know. So I'm in there asleep, unconscious. They had oxygen hooked up to me and all the little goody things that they need to do. Of course, on the 19th of May, a couple of days later, they lowered it down and let me wake up. Carol was there the whole time. She wouldn't leave every day. And it ended up being she was there every day for 30 days in the hospital. She would not leave. She's stronger than I am. So they woke me up and the doctor came in and says, well, let's see. Looked at the charts and looked at the oxygen. My oxygen was good. And they had been giving me antibiotics and everything else in the world that you can think of, a medical cocktail, we'll call it, okay? They were going to cover everything because they still didn't know exactly what's going on yet. Doctor came in and she says, let's see. She looked at the charts and everything seemed to look good. And she said, well, let's see how he does without the tube. See if he can breathe on his own. Well, I'm happy about that. I want this thing out of me, I'm thinking, okay, let's get this out. So they asked Carol to leave the room because they didn't know what was going to happen when they pulled the tube out. Well, the doctor messed up a little bit there. That's why we don't mention their names for a lot of reasons. We don't have it. No, there's no lawsuit. Okay. But they messed up because she should have taken an x-ray first to see what that mass would have done. She didn't. The result of it was she introduced me to Jesus. I can't be mad about that. I mean, and I actually called and we talked to her and who told her that too. But she said, we're going to remove the tube. My wife left the room. She removed the tube and said, okay, my wife came back in and I was doing fine. I was breathing. I was joking. I'm happy. I'm going, whew, that thing's out of there. I'm getting oxygen. And let me tell you something. When you're not getting any oxygen and all of a sudden you get oxygen, you are one happy camper. I mean, if you've ever run 5 miles and you go, and there's no oxygen enough, or I know some play football and you get hit, there's no oxygen in the stadium because it just goes up. When you get oxygen again, you're happy. So I'm sitting there going, yes, I'm happy. Paul and Carol, I'm going to get out of here. And, well, it didn't quite work like that. Doctor and Carol stayed in there for about 35 minutes, I think the medical record's saying. Everything was doing fine. And I'm going, yes, this is wonderful. I'm all perfect except for one thing. I got this big mass of cancer on my neck. Everybody gets cancer, right? So they can fix that. Doctor left. Carol left. They went out by the nurse's station and stuff. I'm going to cut through this short part so I don't make my poor, lovely wife there tear up again. While they were gone, that mass rolled over my airway. And I suffocated to death. Carol is the one that discovered me. She came, she's in the room, and she saw me blue. She knew something was certainly wrong. She's been in the medical field for about 40 years. I didn't need to tell her age, I'm sorry. She's been there a long time, now I'm in trouble. All right, so she says, he's blue, come quick. I know exactly what she said because I learned something too. Everything that happens in there, they write down in their reports. Every word that was said, what they said to her and she said to them, everything. Well, she hollers, come quick, he's blue. And then the doctor comes in, the nurse's station, hit the code blue button. The doctor came in. When she hit the code blue button, everybody in the world came out. Now, I think it's ironic. I was blue and then they hit the code blue button. Why they hit code blue? Why couldn't they say red? I mean, or green, let's go. Yeah, I don't know, but they name it code blue, all right? So every doctor in the place seems to show up. They bring a crash cart and everything, and of course they discovered, yes, my heart had stopped. Yes, I was without oxygen. I was dead. Now, we say I was without oxygen for about an hour and a half. Not about an hour and a half. I'll say about an hour and a half. That's from the time that we know when the medical professionals were right in there, what they were doing until when they could get an actual read on my fingers that there was any oxygen at all. I had zero oxygen for an hour and a half, in addition to the time within that 35 minutes they were gone, because we don't know what time that rolled over. Could have been 5 minutes before she came in. It could have been 20 minutes. We don't know, but we didn't even include that time in there. But the doctors knew it was going to be pretty bad. So I had one large male nurse that was doing CPR, trying to get my heart going. And couldn't you use a paddle? They had to do you know why they do that? Oh, I want to find out. I always ask that, why? Oh, now I understand. Because there was no rhythm. There's nothing. My heart had totally stopped. There was nothing to shock. I learned something. Okay? So they were doing the CPR. I just thought they wanted to practice or something. I don't know. He was doing the CPR. He broke my ribs. Of course, they have to do that. But he didn't just break them like here, like this. No, he split them. I mean, they're pretty, is that a word? So he's doing CPR. They're trying to get tubes down my throat again, trying to get a tube back in to get me oxygen. A couple of things wrong. It took him 15 minutes to get my heart going. And then when he did, it was only for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I'll get to that in a minute. While he was trying to get my heart going, they're trying to put that tube down my throat. They couldn't get it in there. They're pushing and pushing and pushing. They couldn't get it down in there. And then they realized the mass was over my airway, and it wouldn't let the tube go down through because it kept hitting that mass. But when they did that, they nicked a few things in there. And, of course, I started bleeding inside. So they decided that they were going to have to do a tracheotomy. And I will tell you this. It's never a good combination when you put a knife that sharp in a surgeon's hand to cut your throat, and you got another one bouncing you all over the table like this. So they cut it a little crooked, cut it a little bit large, and they had the wrong size trach to go in, but they're still trying to get it in there. But I'm going to stop here because I'm going to talk about what happened when I died the first time. Because I died 3 times in succession. The first time that I died was from suffocation. And it was 15 minutes before they could get my heart beating. Had zero oxygen at this point for that full 15 minutes. When I died, I left my body. And I found myself on top of the ICU room, floating, looking down, watching everything that was going on. I watched them giving me the CPR. That wasn't secondhand information. I watched it. I watched the nurses crawling underneath the table. It looked like ants all over me. I mean, there were just people everywhere. They were crawling under, putting tubes here and tubes there and doing everything they could and try to shove that down. To no avail. Now I was hovering over it, watching this, and I go, this is not good. Get up, Robert. So I'm sitting there trying to take this all, and I'm going like, and I floated out into the hallway, kind of like through the walls, things. It was floating. You remember, I wasn't physically, I didn't walk through the wall, okay? I floated out, and I saw Carol. And she was doubled over. I had never seen her cry. There literally were puddles of tears in front of her on the floor. And it just broke my heart. And I'm saying, sweetie, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm saying this to Mommy. She didn't know that because I'm in there. As far as she knows, I'm dead. Okay? They're trying to get my heart going again. And she's just devastated. And I'm going, it's okay. I was saying, but she couldn't hear. She had no idea. And I floated back in, and I'm looking at the operator, and then that fast, I wasn't there. I left the chaos, everything going on, and I was standing in heaven. I didn't go through a tunnel. I didn't see lights. You got Kleenex, honey? Do you need more? Oh, hold on. Oh, they got a box. Okay. I know it's going to get her. I was just standing in heaven. And I'm looking around. Just imagine if you're standing here and now all of a sudden, you're not in a dream. You're in heaven. No pain, total absolute peace, total love, like the warmest hug you could ever imagine. And I'm looking around and I'm trying to take everything in, and it's almost impossible because of the beauty and the magnificence of everything that surrounds you. And I'm looking at the trees and the flowers, and I tell everybody we have 43 oak trees in our backyard. And we do, we have 43, and they're pretty good size. I know because leaves fall every year and we have to get them out of there. All right? But those oak trees in our backyard compared to the trees in heaven were like little tiny dying twigs. The trees are just towering, beautiful, magnificent. They're perfect. The colors, the leaves were greens that we don't even have here. And they're bright. They're like not 3D, but just like quadra D. I don't even know what. It's like it's just total surrounding you. They're just unbelievable. Even the trunks are just perfect. And the flowers, they're just like flowers that we don't even have here. And colors that we don't have here and we don't even have names for. We can't even imagine them. And they're just absolutely beautiful. And I'm going like, wow. When you get to heaven, well, you won't remember it by talking to you now, but when you get to heaven, rest assured, you're gonna be those. You're gonna be going like, oh. And people say what it was like, and I'm going like, get to heaven. I mean, it's hard to put into words how beautiful it was. But then I'm standing there, and while I was standing outside what I call the inner courtyard, you've all seen mazes and these big, huge mansions. There are shrubs and trees, everything around. But I'm looking at this one, and there's this river, which ended up being, as I learned, the river of life flowing down through the center of it, and benches alongside, and trees and shrubs and everything else. And I'm looking at all that, and all the, just everything is just unbelievable. It's like you've never seen anything so beautiful. Now, that wasn't enough to put me in a total overshock, right? Then I realized something else. There's this beautiful musical song in the background, like white noise. You hear me talking, but if you're very quiet for a minute, you hear the fan. Some of it might be hard to hear and you don't, but you'll hear a fan or some light noise. That's like white noise. It's in the background. It doesn't bother you. It's not in there. It's just there. And you can stop and you can listen, you can hear it. But the noise, the song was coming from the trees and the plants. You see, every tree, every plant gives off what I call a little melodic tone or hum. And when they are all combined, they make this beautiful music and song, not like anything here that you've ever heard, that is praising Jesus all full the time. Now, I know there's no time in heaven, but it's continuous. And it's just the most beautiful sound that you'll ever hear. I went like, wow. Then I realized the air. The air is the most beautiful, fragrant smelling air that you have. Now, it's not perfumey, nothing. Every plant, every tree also gives off its own scent. Now, you can go up to a plant and you can purposefully smell the smell of that individual plant and their scent, which are all different. But when they all combine in the air, they make the most beautiful, fragrant smelling air that you can ever imagine. It's not perfumey. It's not sweet. It's just the most fresh. You go, oh, it's just beautiful. So continuously, nonstop, the background music is there. It doesn't interfere with you talking. It doesn't interfere with anything, but it's there. And it literally is praising Jesus all day long. Not just with music and song, but also with the smells that make up heaven's air. So when you read that or are told that he'll be praised all day long, it's literal. But it's not all day long. It's just continuous because there is no day and there is no night in heaven. We'll get to that. So now I'm going like, and the peace I felt, the love, I go like, well, I never felt anything like that before. No offense, honey. I mean, I know you love me. I can honestly say that because she didn't give up. She could have said, yeah, get him out of here. But she didn't. She kept praying and praying and praying. So I'm smelling this, and I'm doing this, and I'm feeling this peace. And then I realized that there's no sun in the sky. Where's this light coming from? Well, that light, like we say Jesus is the light. That's literal. His light is what lights up all of heaven. And it permeates everything, including you. And in his light is carried his love, his peace, his calm. And that's what makes you feel that love. It's like he's just hugging you. You have such a peace and calm. You just smile. It's all day long. You just can't help it. You're just happy. You just can't avoid. My wife gets on me now. She'll get in. I says, honey, you okay? Because she won't be smiling. Because why aren't you smiling? Because I feel that still. But you just can't help it. And that love connects everybody and everything in heaven as well. That love also connects those that are down here. And I'll get to that, some of the questions and answers later on your loved ones that have passed and if they're in heaven and how do you know and so on. And I will talk to that, address that in questions and answers. But back to heaven. So I'm standing there, I'm going like, wow. I'm looking over at the inner courtyard and I see a figure. And I looked and it looked like my dad, but not my dad. No, what does that mean? Well, my dad died when he was 92 years old from throat cancer. And it just ate him up. The ironic throat cancer, right? Yeah. You're going to find out something about that too. But it ate him away and he died and they had to cut him. And you know how cancer eats people up. I don't want to get too gory on that. But when I saw him, he appeared to be about 35, 38 years old. In his health, in his prime. I remembered him from my youth. And I'm going like, wow. Remember, this is all overload for me. I mean, this is all new. I'm going like, I was down there, pretty chaotic, pain, worries, but now I'm standing in total, absolute peace and love and awe. Poor Carol's, I'm gallivanting around heaven, just enjoying myself. She's down here crying and worrying and what she's going to do next, where are we going to bury him? What are we going to do? She's going through a lot. I say I didn't go through anything. I died and I had a good time. Poor Carol, she's the one that went through it. So I'm standing there looking over there and I said, I got to go over this. So I walk over to my dad. And as I approached him, I said, Dad? Kind of a question mark, And my dad and I used to have a little thing that he would do with me, just he alone would do it. It was like an icebreaker. was in a little saying that he did. I was in the military for a long time in government service, and I've been in some crazy situations and shot, blown up, getting myself in all kinds of goofy things. Happens, you know. And my dad would come and visit me in the hospital or something, and he'd go, well, you did it now, didn't you, sons? And I said, Dad, I didn't do anything. I didn't shoot myself. I didn't, But that was his way of breaking the ice, and it was kind of a little funny thing. Well, now you did it now, didn't you, son? Well, when I walked up to him and I said, Dad? And he looked at me and he goes, well, you did it now, didn't you, son? And I looked at him and I said, Dad, I didn't do anything. I died. He goes, I know. But it was, Jesus allowed him to talk to me because when you don't get to talk to your loved ones. So he allowed that to happen so that he would know that I knew that was my dad. And I'm going like, oh. And he just kind of laughed. And we talked, and I said, I saw a light over in the corner off in the distance. And I said, Dad, who's that over there? I saw a silhouette of a man way, way off in the distance. And he said, well, who do you think it is? Typical dad, always got to question me. Okay? Make sure you're listening, he says. I said, Jesus? I'm still in question now. I'm questioning a lot right now, because this is all new. And he goes, yes. Being me, I say, how do I get to talk to him? He says, well, son, I'm going to tell you. You walk over to him, you start out with your right knee on the ground, and then your left knee on the ground. And if there's a conversation to be had, he'll start it. I said, okay. And now I'm still looking around and taking everything in and talking with him. And of course, I realize now that it's daylight, it's beautiful, but back to the light, there's no sun up in the sky at all up there. And the light that's there, nothing. You don't need sunglasses. No more being cool. You're gonna have to take. You won't need glasses either, so you don't have need. So don't think you're going to get them. That's all vanity anyway. The different kinds of sunglasses, everything else. So I'm going, wow, okay. We talked a little bit more and about different things, and I said, well, I'm going to go talk to Jesus. So I started to walk over to talk to Jesus. Now, you know them pesky doctors down there that were breaking my ribs and everything else? They got my heart started. I'm no longer in heaven. Them cotton picking doctors, yes, I said cotton picking. Those cotton picking doctors got my heart started. There I am back in my body. Total chaos, pain, turmoil. I mean, oh, please. I'm going like, what's wrong with these people? Couldn't you just leave good enough alone? Well, they got me back. At that point, they run out to Carol and says, they're going to tell her we got his heart started. And they're running out to tell her that he's back. And in the ICU room comes, we're losing him again. They asked Carol, what do you want us to do? And Carol said, you do everything. See, we have, and this is one thing that Carol will talk to you about and tell you, we have what's called a living will. And in it states that if they put me on any life support equipment whatsoever, they cannot take me off, or her, we have it for both of us, for 14 days unless we agree. And she says, we have a living will. You cannot take them off. You do everything. No. They wanted to end it all right there because it had stopped and it stopped again. And they knew how long I'd been without oxygen, so they knew there wasn't a whole lot of hope of recovery for anything or any quality of life if I did. And Carol said, no, you do everything. The nurse ran back in and said, she said, do everything. They had no choice. By law, they had to. They couldn't take me off. They couldn't stop. So they continued. That was only a short period of time. And of course, I did flatline again. My heart stopped again, and I still hadn't had any oxygen. So that was 15 minutes with zero oxygen. My heart stopped again. I'm back in heaven. Yes! This time I didn't hover. I was straight to heaven. I go, yes, I got the express train. Let's go. Here I am. I'm in heaven today, baby. I was happy. Oh, I felt that peace and that love and that hug. And it's just like, oh, I'm home. Oh, this is wonderful. I left all the chaos and pain and everything going on down there. That's behind me. I'm not even thinking about that. Not oxygen makes you a happy camper. Getting into heaven, there's no words. I felt that peace and that love and tranquility. Oh, it was just incredible. So now I'm standing there, only this time, I'm standing outside of a pasture. Tall grass and inner courtyards over here to the left. I'm taking in the beauty of the trees again, the smells. Oh, did you ever go on vacation? You get home and you go, home sweet home. You know, vacations are fun. But when you get home, you go, oh, my own bed, my own smells, my own everything, right? Well, that's what heaven's like. It truly is home. That is our home. We're all here on vacation right now. When you get to heaven, you will be home. So I'm sitting there and I'm taking this all in again. And in the distance, I see 2 horses and 3 little dogs. Horses were trotting. The dogs are running like crazy, trying to keep up with the horses because, there's a little bit difference in leg lengths. And they're coming up to me. And as they came up to me, I recognized them. See, Carol and I, we had 2 horses. One was named, I know, honey, get the Kleenex. One was named Shakush. We called him Shak. He was a white Arabian. Just beautiful. He had a personality of a playful clown. Carol and him used to play in the arena. He thought he was a big oversized dog. He'd be jumping up and down like this, and Carol and then he'd be playing. The other horse was Nugget. She was a buckskin quarter horse, and she had the personality of Miss Prissy. I'm too cool for myself. I'm very gentle, kind, just very, very sweet. They came running up to me. And then the 3 little dogs come trailing in. And I recognized 2 of them. I didn't know who the 3rd dog was. And the 2 dogs were Fudge 1 and Fudge 2. We have Fudge 3 that lives with us now. We name all of our dogs Fudge so we never forget their name. Fudge! Yes, okay, I'm coming. Yeah. Call it lazy, call it smart. We never get them wrong. The dogs don't have a reason not to come either. So we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at these dogs, and I recognize 2. I don't know who the 3rd dog is. I found out later when I got back who the 3rd dog was. See, my wife, before I even met her, had a dog. And that little dog's name was Annie. And get her more Kleenex. I was telling Carol, think I would tell her? Everything. The first word out of my mouth when I came back was, I went to heaven. I haven't stopped since. So I was telling her about this, the horses and the dogs, and of course she was crying and bawling because she missed them. We had them for 32 years, and we had to have them put down because old age and dementia and cancer and all kinds of stuff. And I was describing the dog. She said, just a minute. And she went and got she had a Christmas ornament made that looked like the dog, and she had pictures, and he brought it and says, is this the dog? I said, yeah, that was the dog. She said, that was Annie, her dog. Before I even knew Carol, she had to have put down. So Annie was there. Nugget, Shock, Fudge 1, Fudge 2. And I'm looking at them, I'm going like, man, this is really cool. Our pets are in heaven. And there's a reason for that. God gave them to us, our pets. Not wild animals and stuff, but our pets. He gave to us as a gift, and God will never take a gift back that he gives you. Never. Never. So I'm looking at them and I'm going like, and they were in perfect health. They were absolutely beautiful. And they're just proud and everything. And then I got another shock. You see, down here we always wonder what your little dog or your cat or your pet is thinking, right? Anybody here ever wonder? In heaven, you can communicate with them. You can find out what they're thinking. You can ask them. So you better be careful what you're saying now. It's like the kids. You got to be careful what you're saying around the kids, right? Remember, those animals now, they understand us more than we understand them even now. All right? They know when you're loving and when you're mean. They understand that. But in heaven, they're just as happy as can all get out. And you will be able to communicate with them. And I'm like, wow. So I'm talking to them and finding out things about it. And of course, we're having a conversation. I'm in heaven having a conversation with 2 horses and 3 dogs, you know. Think about that. You go home and tell me, this man that was there today said he was talking to his horses and his 3 dogs in heaven. And they're going to look at you and say, do you need to sit down a minute? But those are realities. And I'm going, wow, and I'm enjoying this. And I'm like, looking around, and look over in the courtyard, and there's my dad over there. I could see him in the far distance, and I still see that light, and I'm going like, maybe I should go see Jesus. Well, I'm going to go see Jesus. You know, there's those doctors. I was going to say something else. I won't say cotton picker. Those pesky doctors. Thanks, Carol. You do everything. Well, they did. It took them about 20 minutes this time, so I got a little extra time in heaven this time. Okay, that was nice of you, hon. So 20 minutes in, they got my heart going again. I still had 0 oxygen. So at this point, they know that I've been without oxygen for 35 minutes. Not just a little bit, 0 oxygen, no heartbeat except for that 30 seconds when they got it going. Well, they got it going again. And when they got my heart going again, I'm back in my body. Only this time it's worse than before. This time, I'm back in there, and it is total pain, total chaos. They're still trying to get it. Of course, Carol, no, Carol's just keep praying. She's not giving up. Fortunately, that sounds strange, but fortunately, I died again within about 30 or 40 seconds. My heart flatlined again. You ever hear anybody say they're happy they died again? I'm your guy. So now, of course, I died again, and I went to heaven again. The reason that I died that second time was I drowned on my own blood. I bled out into my lungs. Ultimately, they ended up having to drill a hole in my side, drain the blood out. Took about about a liter bottle. They even took a picture of the bottle. I think those doctors are kind of morbid at times. Yeah, I guess they document everything. So they drained it, took the liter bottle out. They're still working on me. They still couldn't get it. They had cut the trach, put the trach in. Of course, it wasn't large enough. It was in there crooked. And they were trying to get oxygen now down through that trach. They put the tracheotomy in, and then they take a tube with oxygen and they put that down in there. But they still couldn't get any oxygen in. And the reason they couldn't is they put the tube down in there. They had full oxygen going 100%, and it's blown in, but I'm still getting no oxygen into my bloodstream. None. And they thought that they couldn't figure out why it wasn't coming out the tube. Well, they pulled the tube out, they found out why. And the tube was filling up with the blood that was in my lungs. And when it did, it sprayed everything and them. The one poor nurse that was in there, we met her later in the church I was talking to, And it was kind of like here. I was talking to everybody, and then people come up afterwards and talk to me. And this lady walks up, and she was standing right here. And I looked at her and I said, I'll use her name. They don't know her else. I said, Grace. And she looked at me and says, how do you know me? I said, well, you were the nurse crawling underneath the table in there in the ICU with the tubes. And she looked at me and she said, how do you know that? I said, I watched it. And she's like, because they won't give you they will not give you the names of the doctors and them that are nurses in there. They won't do it. But they couldn't keep it from me because I got to see it. So I'm looking at her and we talk, and Carol and her were talking. They kept a journal. The nurse, her and the doctor kept the journal. The nurse that had pulled the trach out, she said, they relieved that doctor that day, and she couldn't work on me anymore because of that. They knew it was a mistake. And Grace and the doctor would go back at the end of every shift, and they write their notes down in their journal and everything else. And Grace actually shared the journal with Carol and I at that church. And we had a talk with her. Grace said that when she went home that night, she still had my blood in her hair. That's how crazy it was. There are more Kleenex. So Carol was talking with her, and they referred to me as the potato in room number 7. Because there was lights are on, nobody's home. There wasn't no lights, there wasn't nobody home, there wasn't nothing. I was just gone. I was dead. And so I died again, drowned on the blood. And my heart stopped again. I went back to heaven again. 3rd time. I'm back in heaven. Whew. Carol, lighten up, let the doctors go. Are they going to, please don't do this again. I wasn't saying that. I wasn't thinking about it, but I say it now jokingly, but I'm in heaven and I'm standing there outside the inner courtyard and I'm determined I'm going to meet Jesus now. Get the horses out of the way. Sorry, Dad. I want to talk to Jesus. I didn't know how long I'm going to be here. I had priors. Give me 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I want to see Jesus. So I started walking to Jesus, towards the light. And as I got up close to Jesus, I found out my dad was wrong. I didn't start out with my right knee on the ground and my left knee on the ground. I fell full prostrate, face down on the ground, crying. I know there's no tears in heaven, but there's no tears of sorrow in heaven. These were tears of joy, humility, love. I was just overflowing with emotion. I was in front of my Lord and Savior. I was in front of God, creator of the whole universe. I'm in front of him. And I'm laying there crying like a baby. And Jesus stood and he came over to me and he reached down. He said, give me your hand. He said, ooh. He said, stand. And then he wiped my tears and said, it's going to be okay. We've much to walk and talk about. Thank you. So now I'm standing, still got tears. He's wiping the tears. You think, all I want to do is talk to Jesus. Being the self-serving person that I was, and loving Carol, the first thing out of my mouth to Jesus was, can I go back? I need to care for Carol. I need to take care of her. She's being devastated. Jesus never addressed that. It went right over his head, I thought. All he said to me was, he didn't say a thing about that. He says, come, we're going to walk, we're going to talk. I have much to teach you. Okay, I'm not going to argue with Jesus now. I'm in heaven. At least doctors didn't pull me back this time. All right, so now I'm peace, full of love, I'm in the presence of God. And he's going to teach me. Why, I don't know, but he was going to do that. It's kind of like what the pastor said last night. He loves us unconditionally. Everything is for us. He gives us that. There's nothing that we can do. We can't even comprehend his love. We can comprehend a little bit of it. But that connection is because he loves us. So, I'm going to go where he tells me. Now remember, there's no time in heaven. There's time here, but not in heaven. And we started walking through heaven. And I'm not going to get into everything he taught me now. We're going to do that in the next session, and that, and questions and answers, and answer your questions. But to surmise it, he walked me through heaven and through time. He taught me everything through what I call a full immersion process. He taught me and he showed me through time. He took me back when creation was. From creation all the way through the new heavens and the new earth. After the rapture, everything. And everything in between. He didn't just teach me. He doesn't teach like I'm talking to you right now. And hopefully you will hear that. The way he taught me, and the way he will teach you, is by demonstration and showing. When he took me back to creation, he opened portals, whatever, I don't know. Jesus can do anything he wants, okay? But he opened a time and showed me creation. He showed me the stars lighting in the sky. He showed me Satan, had me look in Satan's eyes to see the pride and the reasons that he fell, and explained it to me. He didn't just show me the stuff. He explained to me everything that was going on, why things happened, what was taking place, what was going on inside them, what is going on with their emotions and their minds. He showed me the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. He showed me everything. We walked through, continued on through. I surmise it quickly because I can't just read the whole Bible to you here, but I saw the Red Seas, I saw Moses, I saw Sodom and Gomorrah. He showed me everything. Sorry. Including the crucifixion. Okay. Thank you. I know now that it was a perfect demonstration of his love, and that's what I understand it to be, and he explained it to me, but to watch it was devastating. So he showed me that. He showed me the disciples, how he taught the disciples. And when he was teaching me, he said, I taught all my disciples this. And this is why I taught them. He showed me churches today. He says, you see this church down here? You see the lights coming off? You see how it's dim here, dim there? And he explained why that is. He taught me about the different religions, why religions are religions, the denominations, and then the cults. He explained everything. He explained why the Bible is written in this way. He explained everything in the Bible. Why in the Bible there are certain passages that are interpreted, can be interpreted different ways. He did that on purpose. He has a reason. He does everything with intent and purpose. He doesn't do anything without purpose. And he makes everything perfect. Remember that, because I know some of the questions that are coming up, they got like 160 of them, which is fine. As I tell people, you can ask any question you want about the Bible, Jesus, heaven. Don't ask me the lottery numbers. I don't know. If I did, I might be tempted to use them. But any questions you have. But he taught me those. And he didn't just explain it. He showed me. I got to experience everything along the way with a complete explanation from Jesus to me and get to ask him questions of why things are like this. He showed me what sheep's and wolves in sheep's clothing look like. False prophets, false teachers, false pastors. You name it, he covered it. I'm going like, why is he teaching me all this? Well, I found out later. So we went through the entire history of the world from creation all the way through to the future to new heavens and new earth and everything in between. I got to see the new heavens and new earth. I got to see what it's going to be like. I got to see heaven, what you're going to do in heaven, what you're going to eat in heaven. Are you going to eat in heaven? Everything that you're going to do in heaven. Is your husband going to be? Are you going to be a husband? Are you going to be a wife? My brain's going like, if you could get in my brain, I told Carol, I wish people would just get in my brain and make it a whole lot easier. So we're walking through heaven and we're talking, and we end up back at the inner courtyard. And Jesus and I sat on a bench under the trees, the canopies. It was just, the setting was serene. The river of life flowing down through. He showed me the river of life. He explained the river of life. He says, take a drink of this. You will see what I'm talking. I mean, all this was going on in the teaching, but now we're sitting in front of this. And the river of life flows throughout everywhere. So there's little tributaries or flows that go out everywhere. So I'm sitting there, and Jesus was here. I was here. And he started the conversation. This is the last conversation I had physically with Jesus. It's in the book. And I don't want to get the flashlight. He's got a little light over there. He's going to hit me. And I talk to him. I have priors too. I can talk for 16 hours nonstop. So I'm trying to condense this down. My poor wife, she knows, she says she lives in church 24 hours a day. So we're sitting there and Jesus started a conversation. You remember when I said it went right over his head and I said, can I go back to take care of Carol? No, he heard it. He just didn't answer it. Because the opening words of his mouth was, I heard when you first came before me, you asked, could you go back and take care of Carol? He said, I couldn't answer that question then because I had to teach you much. He says, and I'll explain why I can't. He says, if I sent you back, your body's been devastated and ravished. Your brain has been destroyed. There is absolutely no way that it can function without machines. Your brain doesn't have the capacity. It has no capacity whatsoever to tell any organ in your body to do anything. Your brain is gone. And if I sent you back, and even in telling me this, he didn't say you're going to, I know you don't like this word, but I got to use it. Even in telling me this, he didn't say you're going to be a vegetable. He was still kind in that. He says, if I send you back, you will be self-contained within that body. You would not be able to help, comfort, or communicate with anybody or do anything. He said, therefore, I could not and would not send you back like that. Okay, I got my answer. I'm going to stay in heaven, I guess. He said, now you know that you learned while you're here that I taught you that the people that die and come to heaven cannot look down upon their loved ones. And the reason for that is, well, I'll probably answer it now because, no, I'm going to make you come back later. I'll explain it to you in the questions and answer, I promise. He says, and knowing that, you cannot look down on them, and you can't do that because you can't interfere. You will not know what happened to Carol. You can't interfere, you won't see, you won't know. And you certainly would not be able to comfort her. He says, now, I could not send you back like that, and you are in heaven, and you will be fine. He said, however, Jesus says, however, pay attention. He says, I could, and I would send you back with some caveats, conditions. I'm going, okay. He said, first, he said, I will send you back with a miracle that nobody can deny. Not the doctors, not the scientists, nobody. He said, I'll send you back, and they will know that I am God, that I am alive, and that I am working today just as I was in the beginning of time. I know, you're not asking the question, just praising Jesus. So, I'm listening. He says, now, they will not be able to deny that. However, I also will command you. He didn't ask. He said, this is a command. He didn't give me an option. He said, I will command you that you will share everything about how you died, why you died, what happened, and the miracle of why and how I sent you back. That's why I cover the hospital, not to be gory, because he commanded me if I come back, I had to tell the miracle. So you understand, it wasn't a dream, it wasn't a vision, and it was not an NDE, a near-death experience. It was an ADE, an actual death experience. I didn't dream it, I didn't vision, I went to heaven. I was as physically in heaven as I am here right now with you. Probably more present in heaven than here. He says, and when they know that, I will command that you will share everything that you learned from me in heaven, everything that you experienced in heaven, along with the miracle. He said, everything that you learned, you will share with anybody, anywhere, anytime that I put in front of you. You can thank Tony for that. He put you in front of me. But he put you in front of me through Tony. And another caveat, here it comes. You will also answer any questions that anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place has for you about heaven, Jesus, the Bible, or the miracle. So they understand that I am God and I am alive. He says, now, they will not be able to deny that I'm God, but they can question, and there will be some that will question whether or not you actually walked with me and if I taught you. But when they realize that there's no way that you could be standing in front of them talking and that it was a miracle from God, it wouldn't make any sense that I would send you back with false information. He told me, you must remember, in fact, his exact quote, and it's in the book too, is, Robert, you must remember that if you go back, you cannot convince anybody, you cannot change anybody, you cannot save anybody. You are merely to present my word in its raw state of actual truth as I give it to you. And my word is the living word. And my word can convince. My word can change. And my word can save. And only my word. He said, when you present it, your job is done. My job begins. He said, it may look like chaos sometimes. Confusion, rejection of what I told you. Oh, he's just making this up. He said, but in that confusion, you understand that I'm hovering. If there's a chaotic state, I'm hovering. And when I'm hovering, I'm at work. You may never know who it saved, who it touched, but it may be a year from now. You're not to keep records. That's not important. The important thing is that you do what I told you to do, and that I will do my job. It's okay. And he said, now, and okay, you got enough for me? Well, fortunately, he didn't tell me everything because he's told me a lot more to do now since I come back, because I might not have said that. I don't know. Probably said, how am I going to do that, Lord? And there's one more caveat. I said, okay. He says, If you choose to go back, once again, if Jesus ever says to you, if, please pay attention, because you better know what's coming next. And it's going to be a pretty serious question. He says, if you choose to go back. He was going to give me a choice. And there was an if. If you choose to go back, you also, when you enter your body, you will feel every ounce of discomfort, every ounce of pain, everything that's happening to your body from the time you went into the hospital until the time you leave, including surgeries, anything that they do to me, as if you had no anesthesia. He said, they'll give you anesthesia and they won't know. They will assume that you're not feeling anything, but you will feel it. Okay? And then he said another thing. If. If? Again? If you survive that pain, then I will allow the doctors to help mend your body back to perfect health. I will give you a new brain. I will give you a new heart, a new kidney, new liver. Everything will be brand new. But you still have to go through physical to get your muscles and everything back. In other words, it wasn't a free ride. He says, now, when they perform surgery on you, they won't know it, but you will feel everything. Okay? Sometimes we don't think what that's going to be like. We answer too quickly. I said, okay. So he laid out all the caveats. And he said, now, the choice is yours. You can stay in heaven and you'll be perfectly fine. You won't know what happened to Carol. You won't know anything. But you'll be fine. Or you can choose to go back, share my word, and work for me with all the caveats. He said, I'm going to search your heart, your soul, your mind, to make sure it's for the right reasons. He wanted to make sure it wasn't greedy. I guess I had priors. I think I might manipulate God or something. I don't know. I want to go see Carol. He knew that. Okay, well, I'll tell him, yeah, just go back. No, that wasn't it. It had to be for the right reasons. He said, now you choose. You want to stay, or will you go back and be my disciple? I must have had the right reasons. I told him yes. Didn't take a long time either. I told him yes, I would be honored and blessed to go back. He said, okay, and the next moment, I was back in my body. He did not lie. I felt everything. It was total chaos. Well, I was there. Of course, that's the 23rd of May. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I see, okay. How much time do I got 15 minutes? Oh, I got 15 minutes. I'd die for 15 minutes. Come on. I know how much I can get done in 15 minutes. No. So I'm back in my body, and I'm going through all of this craziness, feeling everything. Well, the 23rd of May, between the 19th and the 23rd, every day they tried to convince Carol to just end the life support. She hates it when I say pull the plug, but that's basically what it is. Take me off, just go ahead and bury me. Because they knew there was no hope. They did an MRI on the 19th, the evening of the 19th, after an hour and a half of zero oxygen. And it was pretty much what they figured. it was destroyed. There was no activity whatsoever. And they do weird things when they're testing if your brain dead. They shoot ice water in your ear. They scratch your eyeballs. They do all kinds of things. Any, what do they call it, stimulus? They got a fancy word, she'd know it. To see if they have any stimulus to pain or any reaction to anything. And of course, there was nothing. You're dead. So every day, they would try to convince Carol to end it. And Carol would go, no. She'd just be right there in the hospital praying. You talk about a prayer warrior. But let me get another Kleenex. Thank you, love bug. I warned you about snotty tears. I'm sorry. So she kept praying. Kept saying no. Kept praying. She said no. They tried every day, every day. On the 23rd of May, they just about had her convinced, okay. Of course, now I'm in there. I'm going, hold on. But we talked about cremation. I was like, wait a minute. I wouldn't say this to her, but I mean, they still got me on drugs and everything else, paralyzing drugs. I don't know why they do that. Protocol, I know. I'm dead. They still got me protocol, or they got me on drugs. They had my arms strapped down at times, She finally got them to take those off. She said, well, why is that needed? Then, but they still had all the drugs in there, and the doctor came in, and they just about had her convinced, and he says, okay, I'm going to show you that there's nothing in there. There is no hope. And he says, I'm going to lower all the drugs, everything, down. And I'll be back in a couple of hours. And we'll see. Well, while he was telling me that, Carol, come here, honey. I'm not the only one who's going to cry in front of everybody. No, you gotta get on this side, sweetie. Oh, yeah. Carol and I, when we were in a car, we always used to hold like this, hold our hands. Or I'd put my 2 fingers in her hand and she'd hold it like this. That's how we would hold hands. And when I was in the ICU on there, she has her fingers in my hand. His hands would curl. Yeah, so she would have it like this. So she'd hold my hand, getting ready to say goodbye. And I know what they're getting ready to do. And but I still was on drugs. It was all I could do to squeeze her fingers. And I squeezed her fingers. She squeezed mine back. I squeezed them again. She squeezed mine back. Go sit down. That's all I got. She tried to get more. I couldn't get any more out. That was all I could do to fight through them drugs to get that done. Said, hey, I'm in here. Let's not light that fire yet. And she tells the doctor, he just squeezed my fingers. And the doctor said, no, he did not. That may be a reaction from the drugs or a muscle retraction. Bodies do weird things. And she said, no, he squeezed him twice. I squeezed his, he squeezed mine back. I squeezed his again, and he didn't come back for any more, but he squeezed him twice. And that's when the doctor said, I'll show you. I'll lower the drugs, and I will show you that there's nothing. Well, Carol's got hope. I squeezed her fingers. She's hoping again. I mean, this isn't, when they told her I was dead, she was still hoping. I mean, now, she's grasping onto a straw. I actually found out, don't tell her, I actually think she loves me. She may love me, I think so. So I'm sitting there, I say, lower the drug, I'm laying there in the bed. And of course, now the funny part comes. And this is the only doctor's name we're going to use. And we told him, because he knows what we call him, because he started it. His name was Dr. Gouda. And he came back after the drugs went down, and he come in, and you know what he brings up? You know those little steel stools? Huh? Yeah, that's what he's got on wheels. That little stainless steel, and he sits down on it. And he looks at me. He gets up next to my ear. And he did the dumbest thing I ever heard a doctor do in my life. He gets up next to my ear and he goes, "My name is Dr. Gouda, like the cheese." As loud as he's screaming in my ear, right? "If you can hear me, raise your arms." Did you ever hear anything so dumb in your life? Here's a doctor. No, you've been dead. You've been dead for 3 days. You have no brain, and he tells you to raise your arms like I'm going to listen. Both arms straight up. The doctor goes, scoots that chair back. He goes, I'm not going to say what he said. What the? What's going on? I mean, I got a zombie here or what? I don't know what's going on. He scoots back up a little bit, and he looks at Carol, and he goes, back into my ear again. He's showing his intelligence. Now, this is the leading pulmonologist in the country. And he gets up next to my ear again, and he goes, "If you," by the way, he's always known as Dr. Cheese to my wife from then on. "If you can hear me, move your feet." And he's going like, how is he, you can't, there's no way he can react to commands. And that's what he was trying to do. "Look at me." And he's looking back, and you know his look on his face had to be priceless. "Blink." I'm blinking. "Blink faster." I blinked as fast as I could. He backs up and he says, "Raise the drugs. I don't know what's going on here, but we got to do another MRI." They did another MRI that night. And he told me he would do that. How long do I got? 5? Okay, good. I'm trying to time this, okay? All right, so he told Carol, Carol said, "I'll wait." And he said, "No, it's going to be tonight. We have other things scheduled." He's not in a hurry. This is still a dead person as far as he's concerned. He knows what the scan was. He knows I've been dead for 3 days. He's not understanding any of this. And he said, "We'll do it tonight. Go home and get some rest." Carol actually went home that night. I don't know how much rest you got, but she was hopeful, optimistic. She saw it. And he said, "Come back tomorrow and I'll tell you the results." So Carol goes home. She comes back in the morning and walks up to the nurse's station. "Honey, come up here. I'll let you tell them." Oh, you got one? Oh, there you go. Remember, I'm on a time schedule.
Can you hear me? Oh, gosh. So I had a habit of leaving my house about 8 o'clock or so, because it's about an hour drive. And I get to the nurse, and I go, "Are the MRI results back?" She goes, let me see. "Yes, they are." "What does it say?" "You know I can't tell you." "What?" "Let's do this. If that were your husband, what would you like your nurse to say?" "I'd like her to say, 'It looks really good.'" So doctor comes in. Here comes Dr. Gouda. And I had to play stupid. "Doctor, are the results back?" "There's no brain damage." "What?"
Am I on now? Okay. So the doctor says, not only is it's not even the same brain. It was a brand new, perfect brain. Remember I told you they told me this was cancer? They were wrong. This was a strep infection. Thank you, honey. This was a strep infection. But the blood test showed cancer. Well, I did have cancer. They also found out that that wasn't cancer. That was a strep. The blood test that showed the cancer, I had liver cancer. And the doctor said that I would have less than 4 months to live. That's how long I would have if I had not gone into the hospital. But remember, Jesus said, I will give you a new heart, new kidney, new liver, new everything. My liver's perfect. I have absolute, well, my wife would say this, or she did. I have nothing wrong with me. My wife would say, really? Physically, I have absolutely nothing wrong with me. Physically, I have the energy of a 2-year-old. Or worse. Now, she always reminds me, she says, honey, these people need to stretch their legs. They need to take a break. And I said, but why? I had people come up after 8 hours and said, do you need a chair? I said, no, do you? But I do. I have an endless supply of energy. I don't need it. So I'm sitting there and yeah, it's incredible what he does. So back to the liver. Everything in me is perfect. Everything. Now, I know some of you out there are you a nurse? Okay, yeah. Do you see a big hole here? Do you see a big scar there? No. Let me explain that, and I'll end on that for a break. All right? I don't want to I see he's got his flashlight out. Okay. So I had a hole in my throat about the size of a golf ball. Now, they left the trach in me until the day before I was going to leave. And, I had to talk through a valve. Do you ever see somebody with a valve in their throat go, ah, rah, rah, you know how they talk? Well, that was me. Couldn't do anything without that. They came the day before we were going to leave, about 8:30 at night, and they took the trach out, and they cleaned everything all up. I had a big hole in, and they were explaining to Carol that you need to keep this covered, bandaged, wrapped, because it's a direct hole into my body. Anything that gets in there is going straight in. And you could have put a golf ball in there. Wouldn't have been good. Probably wouldn't have been really easy to digest, but it would go in there. Okay, so Carol's going to take care of me. And so he cleaned it all up. Man, said it's going to take a while. If you can imagine a hole this big, it's going to take more than just a few weeks to heal up. Takes a long time. He came back the next morning, about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and he was going to clean it up and took the bandage off and cleaned it up and show her again how to make sure she could care for it. And you want to guess what he was sitting on? A little steel stool. I never saw those stools get so much work out in my whole life. So he's sitting on the stool and he's taking it off and explaining, we're going to have to unwrap this and we're going to have to take this gauze off. And he pulls the gauze off and he's going to say, and we have to make sure we clean it. And he takes everything off and he goes, when did they take that out? I said, last night about 8:30. He goes, you're talking. I said, well, yeah, you asked a question. For doctors and nurses, sometimes they ask some stupid things. Of course, they weren't used to dealing with somebody like this. And he goes, but it's totally closed. Overnight. Everything. No scar. And obviously I can talk. Okay. You got your flashlight? Okay. Now this afternoon, we're going to break. I guess, how long are we taking a break? 15 minutes or so? Okay. I guess y'all need a break. So... All right, I'm hanging up.
You need to stretch a little bit. The bathrooms are on both sides. The coffee shop's open if you need to get a water or something like that. We will start. Oh, the book table. Book table is open now. It'll be open in between breaks. If you want to get the books about all this, you can. Should get them for people. We'll see you in a few minutes.
council in the hall, false witnesses crying lies, trying to make me fall. I stand before them calm and sure, my Father guides my way. And though they seek to silence truth, I'll speak another day. Darkness falls, but light will shine through the suffering, through the time. No chains, no fear, no bitter lie can stop the Son who came to die. Betrayed and arrested in the midnight air, but I won't fight the Father's plan. I'll meet Him there. Chains can't hold the Savior, though the night is long. Betrayed and arrested, yet I remain strong. So lead me on, oh Father dear, through the shadow night. Betrayed and arrested, yet I walk in your light. The hour's come, the cup I'll take, the cross will bear the weight. Betrayed and arrested, love will triumph over They led Him out to Golgotha, a rugged hill so high. The crowd was loud, the sky was dark, the sun refused to shine. They laid Him down upon the tree, nails driven through His hands. The Son of God was lifted up, fulfilling all the plans. Lifted up on Calvary, blood and mercy meet. The Savior hung to set us free. At the mercy seat, through every trial, through every pain, He bore our sins, our curse, our shame. Lifted up on Calvary, love was crucified. For all mankind. The soldiers mocked, they jeered and cried, if you're the King, come down. But Jesus' eyes were fixed on love, not on the jeering crowd. He prayed for them who nailed Him there, forgiveness on His tongue. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they've done. Lifted up on Calvary, blood and mercy meet. The Savior hung to set us free. At the mercy seat, through every trial, through every pain, He bore our sins, our curse, our shame. Lifted up on Calvary, love was crucified. The Lord of life, for all mankind. Beside Him stood His mother dear, a heart so full of grief, and John received her into care, a love beyond belief. The sky grew dark, the earth did shake, the veil was torn in two. The dead arose, the saints proclaimed his love forever true. It's finished now, the debt is paid, the Lamb has borne the cost. Through brokenness, through agony, our souls are never lost. Oh, lift your eyes and see him high, the King who conquered death. With every breath, let's testify of mercy, love, and faith. Lifted up on Calvary, blood and mercy meet. The Savior hung to set us free. At the mercy seat, through every trial, through every pain, he bore our sins, our curse, our shame. Lifted up on Calvary, love was crucified, the Lord of life for all mankind. Lifted up, lifted high, he bore it all for you and I. Lifted up on Calvary, the love that will not die. Early morning, walking slow, the tomb was dark and still. The stone was rolled away, but his love was greater still. Mary wept beside the grave, her heart weighed down with grief. But angels spoke and hope arose, a joy beyond belief. He is risen, he is alive. The grave could not contain. The Savior lives, and we shall rise in mercy's holy name. Death has lost its victory, the stone is rolled aside. He is risen, he is alive, our Lord, our joy, our God. Peter ran, John ran faster to see the empty tomb. The linen wrappings lying there, the Lord had conquered gloom. Mary turned and saw him there, Rabboni, she cried. The risen Lord, the living King, forever glorified. He is risen, he is alive. The grave could not contain. The Savior lives, and we shall rise in mercy's holy name. Death has lost its victory, the stone is rolled aside. He is risen, he is alive, our Lord, our joy, our God. Jesus came to Thomas to touch my hands, my side. Believe in me, though you've not seen, and in me abide. Faith will grow and hope will shine where doubt once held sway. The risen Lord is with us still. He lights the darkest day. Hallelujah, lift your voice, let every heart proclaim. The stone is gone, the tomb is bare, forever bless his name. From death to life, from tears to joy, the chains of sin undone. The risen Christ, our living Lord, the Father's only Son. He is risen, he is alive. The grave could not contain. The Savior lives, and we shall rise in mercy's holy name. Death has lost its victory. The stone is rolled aside. He is risen. He is alive. Our Lord, our joy, our God. He is risen. He is alive. His love will never die. Lift your hands and shout his praise. Lift your hearts to the We were out on the water. The night was long and cold. Worked those empty nets, but caught no fish to hold. Then a voice came from the shoreline, said, "Boys, try once more." We cast our net in faith, and it overflowed with the Lord. Cast your net again, though the night's been hard and lean. He can fill your boat with blessings, more than you've ever seen. On the shore he's waiting, with mercy in his hands. Cast your net again, and trust the risen Lamb. Peter jumped in the water, couldn't wait for the boat. His heart was beating heavy with the words Jesus spoke. Do you love me more than these? 3 times the Savior said, and with each word forgiven, new life rose from the dead. Cast your net again, though the night's been hard and lean. He can fill your boat with blessings, more than you've ever seen. He can fill your boat with blessings, more than you've ever seen. On the shore he's waiting, with mercy in his hands. Cast your net again, and follow the risen Lamb. Yes, on the shore he's waiting, so cast your net again. The donkey's hooves struck a dusty street.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna, if you'll start making your way to your seats, we're going to try to begin again. Will?
She's like, are you okay? I'm like,
Well, I need to tell you this.
I've seen the road you've been walking, every mile, every tear you've cried. You've wondered if the fire was wasted, if the waiting passed you by. But I don't test without purpose, I don't shape without a plan. Every gift I placed within you has always been in my hand. Talents put to the test, held up for all to see. I am your talent, all is for me, and I am all. Everything must be for me.
Gentlemen, whoa! Everybody look at the sound person. We're going to break again at noon. We're running a little bit behind, but you'll still have an hour and a half for lunch, in case you're wondering. We'll try. The goal is 12 o'clock. How many believe we can hit it? 3 of us. I promise you, this next session you will not be bored. And I've lost Robert, so talk among yourselves. Not a-
Am I on? Okay, they won't let me alone, will they? I'm coming.
No,
First it's get out of here, and then it's get up there. You're just a bossy little kid. You're worse than the doctors. Get away from me.
Let me get my stool.
Okay. Is this my test? Wow. Okay. So I guess what Pastor Tony did was he questioned Houston, I think. These are a list of questions I guess all of you or some of you have submitted that you had about heaven and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to address these. I believe the pastor said there's a QR code someplace that they can take a picture of. Okay. Oh, thank you. A QR. Why do I need these? I don't know. These are my wife's glasses. No, that's good. That's good. I'll stick with these, okay? Sabotage. All right? So, Gouda. Yeah, Dr. Gouda's over here. This is Dr. Cheese. I'm going to name you Dr. Question. So, anyway, if you haven't submitted a question to Pastor Tony, I guess through the website, there's a QR code someplace that he said that you can submit questions. And if we, it will go to my website directly. I might not be able to get through all of these, not because I don't want to give you the answer. We'll be here this afternoon. We will certainly try to get through as many as we can. But those that I don't get through, I will answer those questions on my podcast. So nobody will be negated. If you have a question and you submit it to me, Jesus will give you an answer. Okay? Okay, so we're just going to start. First question? Okay. That'll be a long question. Okay, let's just start with loved ones and pets. Okay, I think we covered most of these. If there's no sorrow or pain in heaven, will those in heaven remember my past wrongs? No, that's a very good question. When you get to heaven, you will not have a memory of anything that you've done wrong, anything that was bad on earth. There will be no negative or bad things that will be in you. And the reason for that is there is no pain, no suffering, no sorrow, no worry, no regrets, no nothing. Because anything outside of love, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7, it tells you what love is. It also tells you what love is not. It doesn't take into account the wrong. So actually the very first one is patience, Tony. Patience. Oh, okay. All right, so if you go to that and you read 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4 through 7, when it describes love in there, understand those are not just words. Those are Jesus' values, his attributes, his very essence. Those are his morals. That's what he is. And in John chapter 13, verse 34, he said, I give you a new commandment. And that new commandment is that you love one another as I have loved you. When he tells us he gave us a new commandment to love one another as he loved us, that's what we're to do. And he gave you an exact copy of what he is and how he loves. And that's in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. Now, when you read that, if you use that like a pilot on a checklist for everything that you do, before you speak, before you act, before you get angry at somebody, do I have the right to be angry? They insulted me. I have the right. No, you do not. Because that is done not out of love. You see, we have free will, free choice. As Jesus said, every created being has free will and free choice. That includes all the angels, and it included Satan and all of us. Without free will, there's no love. It's just that simple. The problem with Satan and the reason that we sin is because what you govern your free will and your choice with has to be out of love. If you make decisions of your free will out of pride, out of self-serving, out of anger, out of taking the wrong into account, that's not love. And when that happens, you made that choice outside of love, and that's what sin is. So before you do things, you need to really go to the checklist that he gave you of his values, his virtues, and go, well, if I say this, is it going to be out of love? Well, is it prideful? Oh, he just got a big red flag right there. Reevaluate what you're going to say. I'm angry. Reevaluate that, because you don't have the right to be angry, because you don't take into account a wrong suffered. Well, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. Jesus said, I forgive you for all your sins. Never to be brought up as far from the west as from the east. Past, present, future. Never to be brought up again. That's what love is. Forgiving and not forgetting is not love. So what you do is you look and say, well, if I can't forget it, well, maybe that's my pride because I still want to be right. Maybe it's self-serving. Well, I'll feel better if I don't forget him. So you see how it doesn't go with love? Learn what love is. Learn to love like Jesus. That's the only thing you have to do. I know you don't want to hear this, but you don't get to heaven by going to church every day. You don't get to heaven today by performing miracles. None of that has to be. Those are just labors of love. Demonstration of your love. And the only thing we have to do, the entire works of God, are to believe in the one he sent. John chapter 6, verse 29, 28 actually, the disciples asked Jesus, what are the works of God that we must do? I know this is a long answer for that one little question, but I'm sorry, I want to make sure you understand it. What are the works of God that we must do? They asked Jesus, and Jesus said in verse 29, he says that you love, that you believe in the one that he sent. In other words, to believe in Jesus. In John 3:16, it reiterates it, does it not? Or actually, it was reiterated in John 6, but in chapter 3, he says that you believe. Believe. Didn't say anything else. Believe. And then he said, if you believe, you have a new commandment. Not the old Levitical laws, not the 10 commandments. Because if you do everything according to what the new commandment is, love one another as I have loved you, you will never violate any other law or commandment. He's given us a way that we can do that so that we can, through his blood, because he knows we're not going to do it perfectly. He told me when he was sending me back, he said, Robert, when you get back, you're gonna mess up. I know that. But understand, I've already forgiven you for that. Because you live in the world. You're not of the world. And as such, you will be tempted. You will do things. I get angry sometimes. I go, or I get frustrated. That's not love, but I'm wrong. But he also says that the Holy Spirit that lives in you, because if you abide in me, I will abide in you, will convict you. And when he does that, and that little thing, you go, ooh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. You don't need to go back and ask forgiveness. He said, repent. You see, on the cross, he said, I forgave you. And he said what? It is finished. It is sufficient. It is complete. He didn't say, I got to do it again. Jesus said, I'm not getting back up on the cross again. But when you do mess up and that Holy Spirit convicts you and you know it, it's repentance. Repentance is this: acknowledgement, take responsibility for, apologize for, and then set a path in motion to turn from it and do it no more. Now, you cannot set a path by yourself. You can't do it. You do all things through him. And he says it goes like this. And I'm just going to use a lie. I don't care what it is. If you're going to go rob a bank this afternoon, you're going to have some consequences here, but it's going to be a sin too. But we'll just use a lie. Anything outside of love is a sin. So we're just going to use a little white lie. And I tell this little white lie, or I get angry. I get frustrated. And I go, I know I shouldn't have got angry. The closer you get to him, the more often you're going to hear this too. Hey. Yeah, you're right. And all he's doing, he's conforming you to his image. That's a blessing that he catches you. Okay? So I got angry. I got frustrated. I was short with somebody. Do I go back and say, Father, forgive me? No. There's no magic words. He said, repent. I am so sorry. I got angry. Acknowledgement. I'm sorry I did that. You apologized. Please, I know you've forgiven me. That's acknowledgement of him and his power, that you know he forgave you. And please, let the Holy Spirit guide me that I turn from it. You now have implemented a way to turn from it, not by your power, but by recognizing his power, that he can turn you from it. And when you do that, you're going to find out when you do it on his power and not yours, that problem might go away a lot faster. Because we can't do anything on our own. Nothing. Only he can. So remember, if nothing else, believe in him. I believe you touched on this last night too, I think. And I'm going to touch on it again because it's important. You don't get to heaven by any works. None. Well, but if I have to believe in him, that's a work, right? No, it is a work. But it's not your works because there's nothing you can do to get to heaven. Remember the disciples asked, what are the works of God? He didn't ask what are the works of man. He said, what are the works of God? And he said, the works of God, not man, not you. The works of God are to believe in the one he sent. And that through faith, not of your own. Oh, it's his faith. Oh, okay. And then by grace, another gift, you touched on this last night, you are then have the ability to believe in him because of your intellectual ability to understand what he did. And then you enter into his life. Not on your own, not on your works, not on your faith. You've done nothing. So don't let anybody tell you, well, yeah, but that's a work. I had to do it. No, you didn't. Because if you don't do it that way, you did it on your own. It's not real. I hate to tell you that, but that's not real. He does it, it's real. It's permanent. It's everlasting. And it will change your life. That's why if you don't see a change, you got to try. Are you trying to save yourself? Or are you going to allow Jesus do what his job is? When he's hovering, he's working. His word, not your word. You can't convince, you can't change, and you cannot save anybody. Not even yourself. Only he can. Remember that, okay? So, where were we at? Oh, were we any past wrongs? No. So as a result, you won't remember any of that. You won't remember anything of the past. Because if you did, that would be a temptation that you could possibly exercise or get angry over or regret. And temptation is a sin, and that's what happened with Satan when he's down here. He is sin. And it's through the things he puts in front of us that tempts us to exercise our pride, our self-serving, our greed, whatever it is, to choose through our free will, well, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to control my free will with pride or greed, and then that's not love. That's totally out of love, and that's what causes sin. Okay, so no, you won't have. I know that's a long answer. I could have just said, I know. Nope, you won't. Okay, but you might not have understood that. So, got a problem with that? Take it up with Jesus. He's the one who told me to say that. Do you recognize your loved ones and pets, and do they look like they did on? I'm going to assume that is on earth. What? She's going to write me a note. Okay, so do your loved ones and pets and everything look like yourself? Yes and no. They look like the perfect version of yourself, healthy, no pain. If you were in a war, you had an accident, you lost an arm, or you had a deformity. Oh, okay. I just got another question she wants me to tell. I don't have enough here, honey. I love her. The pets. They're going to be a perfect version. The arms. If you lost a hand, when you get to heaven, you're going to have a perfect body. It's going to be completed. Listen to this, every prayer that you say to him that's done out of love, truly for his will be answered. But it's not always in your time. It's in his time, in his will, so that it furthers and glorifies his kingdom. Now, it may be for you if you had cancer. You prayed for somebody for cancer to heal them. Might not be in your lifetime, just like you don't know if somebody's going to accept the Lord right now, or maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 years from now. His word works in his time. Now, will you be healed of that cancer? Here? It's possible, absolutely. We see miracles all the day. Trust me, I've seen a few miracles. Personal. But it also may be that it is in his will that will not be healed until you get to heaven. But when you get to heaven, the cancer will be gone. You will get a new arm, a new leg. Any deformities, any disabilities, any mental disabilities induced from birth, chemical reaction, whatever caused it, maybe a car accident, whatever, you had brain damage, whatever the case, continue to pray for them now, because he can do that now. If it's for his furtherance of his kingdom, he'll do it right now. He'll show that miracle right now so you can see it. And then you go. But remember, you didn't do the miracle. He did through you. Even when Jesus was here and the disciples asked him, they said, how do we do the miracles that you do? How do we perform these miracles that you do? And Jesus said, it is not I that do the miracles. It is my Father who does the miracles through the name that he gave me that does the miracles. See, Jesus didn't do the miracles while he was here on his own. He did it through the proper channel, and that's what you have to do. You pray, he does the miracle through the name of Jesus that he gave, and that's directly from him. And he will do the miracle, not you. You can't do it, but he will. He will. So, when you get there, when you get to heaven, you're going to see a lot of things you don't see. Not just your pets, but your loved ones. You will see everybody in their complete, perfect wholeness. People that may have Down syndrome or mental illnesses, they will be complete whole when they get to heaven. There will be nothing wrong with anybody. Except my wife will say, well, honey, I'm not so sure about that. Okay? So yes, your pets, you will see them, you will recognize them. You will recognize everybody immediately. When you get to heaven, you will recognize your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your fathers. I want everybody to look around right now. Look at somebody. Meet your brothers and sisters. Because your brothers and sisters in Christ, and each and every one of you are all family. And that's a family that will not divide. You have division on earth because we don't always do things out of love. We all have distant loved ones. And hopefully they do when they come back. But when you get to heaven, every one of these are going to be your brother and sister. It makes no difference. Maybe not by blood right here, but you will be in heaven. You know why? Because you're all in heaven by what blood? Blood of Jesus. Okay, next question. Oh, okay. What happened to the babies that have been aborted? Do they have a special? And then it ends. I guess I fill in the question. I'm going to assume that what happens to babies that are aborted, miscarried? What happens to babies that are born still? What happens to them? Well, Jesus has his own grace that he can give to whomever he wants. He gave us grace how we can get to heaven. There is a thing that's called, and I have to digress just slightly to make this understandable. Everybody's heard of what they call, I think they call it the age of accountability. What is that age? Is it 10? Is it 9? Is it 13? Is it 25? Anybody here find out what that age is? Well, it's because there's no age. As Jesus taught me, he says, it is not an age of accountability by chronological age. That isn't it. Age has nothing to do with it. It's the moment in your life, and it could happen at 5, it could happen at 10, it could happen at 35, it could happen at 45. It may never happen because of mental disabilities or because of severe brain damage or something to that be. But it's that moment in time that you, and this is why it's important for us to witness, it's that moment in time that you are confronted with who Jesus is, what he did, and the fact that he died on the cross for your sins, for all mankind's sins, not just those that become born again. He died for all mankind. But unfortunately, all mankind will not accept that payment. He paid that payment. He paid it in full with his life. Because the wages of sin is death. See, right now, well, not everybody here, but if you're not saved, you're dead. Because death, according to Jesus, is separation from God. And separation from God means you're not going to be with God. To live is to be with God, to be with Jesus. That's what life is. You notice he used the term born again. You're born, and he also used the term that, and you will live with me. He didn't say you're going to exist. He chose his words perfectly. You will live with me. You will live, not exist. Right now, those that are not saved are existing in a dead state, separate from Jesus. It's just that simple. He made it simple. He said, I made it simple. Man has complicated it. Now, that moment that you are confronted with Jesus dying on the cross, paying the price, as we explained, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing of salvation with you. I'm going to assume most of you know what that means. Well, I'm not going to assume. Okay, I'm sorry. Most of you, and those that don't know, what that means is you have to accept the payment that Jesus made for you. He died on the cross for all your sins, all mankind's, but you have to accept that, and you have to believe in him and accept that payment. If you all go to a restaurant and you spend $1,000 on the tab, and the rest, the maitre d' brings up, you ask for the check, and he brings it over, and he says, it's already taken care of. What do you mean? Well, how much was it? It was $1,000. Well, who paid it? That gentleman over there. Well, I don't know him. He ain't paying mine. I pay my own way. I'll cover this tab. Guess what? You got to pay the price. You got to pay the $1,000. Don't have the $1,000, you're going to pay some consequences too. Well, the consequences here would be you might go to jail. The consequences, if you do it in accepting what payment he gave and say, no, I don't want to accept that, I'll take care of myself, is death, eternal separation from God. You have to accept it. So when you learn what he did and you're given that choice through faith, not of your own, and by grace, you can enter into and you say no, you made that ability, you had that ability, that intellectual ability to say no, you got a problem. Because you just put yourself into eternal separation from God, death. Unless perhaps maybe later you may do, if you're fortunate enough to come to him and accept him later before you die, then you'll be okay, you will enter into that. But it's that moment in time, and that can happen at any time. Children, traditionally we know, don't have the ability to reason and understand things because they still have to learn. Those that have mental handicaps or disabilities sometimes do not have the full capacity to accept and recognize what it is and make that decision. Now, those that have never had or will never have the ability to, because of mental disabilities, or have not had it in their thing because they have the capacity, those that do that, like children, if they should die, they didn't have the ability. He has a grace outside of the salvation that they will enter heaven. They will go. Somebody that's mentally disabled that truly does not have the ability to understand, comprehend, and accept him, Jesus does not just say, okay, well, sorry, you're going to hell. It says in the Bible, it says, God shows no favoritism. And then later it says favoritism is a sin. And God cannot sin. And if he showed favoritism over somebody who didn't have the ability to understand or comprehend what he did and sent them to hell for that, then he's showing a class, favoritism. And he will not do that. And they will enter heaven. So children enter heaven. Those that have mental deformities enter heaven. Those that do not or have never been confronted with it, even if they do have the capacity, may or may not enter heaven. They may enter paradise, which is a whole other question. I know I'm not going to go off into that yet, honey. I know. So the moment of accountability is when you have the intellectual ability to understand what he did and accept him or reject him. It's your choice, but it's through his faith and his grace. And you choose your destination where you're going to spend all of eternity. But you will live with him, because to live is to be with him. Death is separation from him. It's only one or the other. There's no in between. Okay? Oh, the babies. Okay, thank you, honey. The babies. If a baby is aborted, if a baby is stillborn, if a baby is miscarried, that baby will enter heaven as a brand new born baby, perfectly formed, everything correct, everything right for him. And he will remain there until the mother or the nearest nearest living relative that actually is going to come there, and he knows who isn't and who is. I don't, he does. When the mother gets there, they will have the joy of raising that child in heaven in a perfect environment. A child, whether it's aborted, whether it's miscarried, whatever the case is a gift from God. And once again, God will never take a gift back that he gives you. So anybody here that's had an abortion or had a miscarriage or a stillbirth or a young child that has died, they will be in heaven waiting for you. And Jesus will care for them until you get there. He has plenty of help. And remember, there's no time in heaven. So that baby, a newborn, will be that age when you get there. So you'll get the joy of raising that child up to their age of perfection, because age of perfection is different on everybody in heaven. Some will be up here to 26, some will be 36, some will be 45. There's people that they feel their age of perfection is 65, 70. That's what they feel most comfortable. It's an individual thing that Jesus knows. We don't know ourselves sometimes. But he does. We're not all clones. We're not all robots. We're individuals. And your individual self will be you in heaven as you are here. He created you. He's not going to change you. So when you get there, you will have the opportunity to raise that child. You'll have the opportunity in a perfect environment where you don't have to go through the terrible twos. My poor wife, she's leaving already. Look at her. My wife says, in May 24th, I'll be 77. May 23rd, I'll be 2. Depends on which birth you want to look at. She keeps telling me I'm scared to death I'm going to go through the terrible twos with you. Well, she's leaving again. Okay. So the age of accountability is not chronological. It is when you have the ability to understand. And those that don't, they're saved by grace as well. And it's his grace, not ours. Okay? His grace, not ours. None of this is ours. None of it. It's all grace. And he dispenses it as he wills, not as we do. We try to interfere sometimes. We think Satan tried a lot. He thought he wanted to be God. Trust me, you don't want to be God. Be happy with who you are. His job's a lot more difficult than ours. I got to see what he did firsthand, and I don't even want to think about trying to do that. It's just hard to imagine. You'll see when you get there. But love, grace, and faith, if you learn nothing else, know that, because that will protect you. Okay. Does that answer questions about the babies? Anybody have any other questions about those? No? Okay, good. Okay. Do we get to see and talk with our loved ones or recognize each other? That can be taken two ways. I'm not sure which way they do it, so I'll answer both ways. If you get to heaven, yes, you will recognize your loved ones. When they get there, everything will be the same. You've seen mother, father, brother, sister. You'll recognize them, absolutely, no question. You'll be connected by the love that flows through the light that enters everybody, and everybody will be your brother and sister. There will be certain connections between a man and a woman. We call it marriage here. You're not going to be married in heaven. Okay? We have any kids? Well, most of the kids in here are older, right? Okay. Marriage here, we have relations, I'll call it that. And we're supposed to have those relations for procreation. And that was a necessary thing. In heaven, you don't have that. And therefore, you don't have to be married. But he has created a man and a woman that are to be joined. He created woman for man, not joined in marriage. You will have a special bond between those two as, I call it your soulmate. That's one special person in your life. Now, if you're fortunate enough to find that person here, he has one for everybody. If you're fortunate enough to find that one here and you marry them, then when you get to heaven, you will still have that bond. You won't have the same marital thing because you're not going to be married there in heaven. We're all married to Christ. But you will have a special relationship. Just like you have a brother and a sister have sometimes really special bonds. They're just connected at the hip. Well, that's what it will be like in heaven with that one special person for you. So you won't be alone. He said in the Bible, it's not good for man to be alone. And once again, he created woman. Did he not? Who did he create woman for? Man. Was that a gift? Does he take gifts away? Why do you think he's going to do that? Quit being selective on your own understanding and understand his way. He has done that and said it for a reason. He loves you. He knows you're not going to be, you will have that one. Now, double-edged sword again. in heaven, what happens if I had a second husband down here? What if I lost my first wife, my second husband, sometime my third? What if I didn't have one that died? What if I just got divorced and was remarried 3 times? What do I do? Am I going to have 3 husbands, 3 wives? No. First of all, we don't know if that's what we do, because we get married here sometimes for carnal love. Not true agape love that he gave us for that one special person. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to have that person. If you're fortunate enough to have married that one special person that he has for you, that he created, and you get to heaven, both of you there, you will have that bond. You will have that union. Still not going to have relations like here, though. Okay? But I will tell you this, there's something better. All I know is he told me about it. He explained it to me. Unfortunately, Carol wasn't there, so I couldn't experience it. But there is that special relationship. Now, what happens if that you're married here, and one of you did it for love and the other one did it for carnal reasons, and that wasn't your soulmate, and you love them? You love them, yes, absolutely, you're not. But that wasn't that one. When you get to heaven, that won't be your extra special one. It will be the one that he had made for you. You may never have met that person down here. When you get to heaven, you will. And you will be joined. So anybody that's been single and wonders, will I ever get married? Well, you're not going to ever get married maybe, but you will have that one special person in heaven. Because that's how he made us. He doesn't change us. He accepts us as we are because he made us that way. Now, what happens if you had 2 wives, 2 husbands? Which one do you live with? I don't know. But Jesus does, because it's going to be that one that you had the special bond. It might be your first husband, your first wife. It might be your second husband, your second wife. It might not be any of those. You might have a third one that you didn't meet yet. But the reality is that you will have that person, but the other 2 wives or friends, if they are in heaven, or 2 husbands, they'll still be your friend, but they won't have any remembrance of ever being married to you, so there will not be any jealousy. They will never know. But he will have you connected to that special one when you get to heaven. And it will be by love. His love, not ours. And you will reside in your quote unquote mansion. But your mansions, see, one question leads right to another thing. Mansions aren't what you think. It's not a 50-room house with gold stairwells. Remember in the Bible, he gave us a lot of things that make us understand what things are. He wants to give you an example. A mansion is your perfect abode, your perfect home, what you like, what you are. Remember, we're all different, and we're going to be all different in heaven. Everybody's got their own internal, personal ideas of what a perfect home is. Some people like to live in apartments. Some people like to live out in the country. Some people like to live in enclosed cities. That's just the way we're made up. We all have different likes and dislikes. We all have different likes of what the interiors would look like. We have different likes of what the wall covers and everything else would be. The thing is this, when you get to heaven, he will know, because he knows every thought in your head. And he will know what your perfect mansion is. And he will create that for you. And you will have that perfect mansion or perfect home and house. Whether it be an apartment, high-rise, city dwellings. Carol and I was blessed with seeing it. She hasn't yet. I got you. We like living out in the country, and that's where ours is at. You don't have to worry about bugs. There's no mosquitoes. You don't have to worry about doors, nobody coming in, because none of that is there. It's heaven. That's the only way I can describe it. It's perfect. So everybody's going to have a little different abode. They're all going to live a little differently. Your loved ones will be there. You will recognize them. You will have a special someone. Is the one that you're with right now? How many are married in here right now? Just raise your hand. Look over at your wife or your husband. Makes you want to wonder, is that the right one? Oh, honey, I can't wait to get rid of you. Oh, my goodness. It may, in fact, be, but the reality is this. You don't know for sure because you do not know any other person's heart. Only Jesus does. You may. That's why I said if you're fortunate enough to have found that one. And I'm not saying all of you have not found him. That may, in fact, be the case. You're both here. You both love Jesus. So there's good indicators that's probably your special loved one, okay? But we don't know. But when you get to heaven, you'll find out. The nice thing is you'll find out, but you won't know that you were with the wrong one or with the right one or the loss. You won't have any idea because none of the bad will be there. But your other one that you had will still be your friend. They won't know it. So there's no jealousy, no temptation. Jesus knows what he's doing, people. Just accept it. He has it so figured out. And we are astounded by that. But think about this. He spoke everything into existence with a word. You think he can't match us up correctly? It's not a dating show. It's a reality show of the utmost, okay? Anyway, he does love you. You will be the one. You do recognize your family, friends. You will visit. You will have gatherings where you eat. You will eat in heaven. You will share with others. You'll have people over. Now, here's something really special. How many of you would like to meet Jesus? How would you like to have him over to your house for dinner? In heaven, you can. And he will come to your house for dinner. Because when you eat in heaven, it's not for substance to fulfill your need for your body. It's not dead animals. Here we eat dead animals, we eat vegetables, we eat all kinds of things. But we like it, it nourishes us, and we all have different tastes. Some like steak, some like pasta, some like Chinese, whatever you like. Will you get to eat that in heaven? Barbecue, chicken, whatever. Yes. You will have everything that you have here that you want. The difference is this, it's not a dead animal. It's manna. Because Jesus manufactures the manna for all of us to eat. Because we don't eat for substance. We eat the manna, which will look, taste, and smell like, and you'll prepare it the exact same way. It will have the same texture, only the very best of quality. If you like steak, you can go and pick out a beautiful steak. There will be markets that you can go and get this from. But it's not a dead animal. And you can prepare it the same way so you can eat it. The difference is this. When you eat it, it's for enjoyment and pleasure. It's for sharing. Jesus said we're going to have a banquet, right? Well, you think he's going to have a banquet and say, here's a bunch of paper? Sit around looking at each other? No. You're going to share food. You're going to break bread. You're going to do that with everybody. Not only just with your family. You'll have the opportunity to do that with everybody throughout the entire new earth. Other countries that you see now, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, whatever the case may be, Italian, let's not forget the Italians. Hey, good Italians, hey. No. They're telling me to break as an Italian. I'm not going to mention names. They told me, there's two types of people in the world. Italians are those who wish they were. I change their view when they get to heaven. But as it may be, every country, every person, every tribe, every nationality, there's no race discrimination. There's none. We're all brothers and sisters. But we all have different nationalities. We were raised in different cultures. That's just the way we are. We have different skin tones, different textures. That makes no difference. That's just where you're at, the environment where you're raised. It happens. That's what it is. We're all different, but we're the same in him. Now, when that person dies, let's just take, for an example, a person in China, because that's pretty contrary. If I have any Chinese people, and I'm not picking on anybody in particular, I'm just using this as an example. China has a lot of different cultures than we do. So does Japan. They have like pagodas. Would they be happy in like where we live? No. Do they eat the same foods that we do? No. They grew up in something totally different. Do they like the same likes and dislikes? No. So would it be fair, or would it be showing favoritism if he said, all the Chinese people are going to be, and I'm just going to pick on it because we're here in America, are all going to be just like Americans. And you're all going to speak English. Well, that's not heaven to them. But you see, in heaven, they will have their perfect abode just like we do. They will retain their cultures just like we do. They will retain their individuality just like we do. Except it will be for them. Everybody's still an individual. He created them as they were to be. Now, in heaven, there'll still be separations of where people live like that. But here's the nice thing. Here, we have borders. We have to get passports. And who knows what you're going to go through to go to another country. Now it's just insanity. And then when you get over there, you better know how to speak their language. So you learn how to speak English, or you get a translator, and translators don't always tell exactly what you're saying. And they certainly don't get the nuances of what you're saying, your accentuations, your question marks. Like when I said, Dad? Well, you hear that as a question. But could you say that in another language and get that same point across? No. And nor could they say it to your language. So translators don't always translate everything. But will we be able to visit them? Yes. And we can immerse ourselves in their culture, visiting them, because they're still going to be connected. They're going to be your brothers and sisters. You're going to go visit them. But when you do, you don't have to learn the language. Because in heaven, when you talk to them, remember, all of you all in here, I'm going to give you all an upgrade. We use between 4 and 6% of our brain. So I'm going to say everybody in here uses 6% of your brain. What's the other 94%? See, God creates everything with a purpose. Did he put that other 94% in there just as filler? Fill that space between your ears? No. He has a purpose. He has a function. And when you get to heaven and says you will know him completely, what do you think that means? I'll tell you what it means. It means you're going to have full capacity use of that brain. And there's things in there that you don't know yet, and you haven't discovered and figured out how to use yet, but you will when you get to heaven, because I watched it and I got to experience it. Now, when you get there and you talk to somebody, if I go to China, and who here speaks? You speak a different language, Spanish, correct? Sí. So if I talk to you and I said, hola, ¿cómo está? What did I say? Right. But if I went on and you started talking, I say, hola, ¿cómo está? And then you start talking to me back in Spanish, because I thought I knew how to speak Spanish, but those are only 2 words I knew. I'm not going to know what she's saying. And if I talk to you in perfect English and I say, hello, how are you? How would you say that in Spanish?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Right, but that's not exactly what I said. See? I say hi. Little thing, nuances. In heaven, when I talk to somebody that speaks Spanish, that's their native tongue, that's what they were raised on, or Japanese or Chinese, it makes no difference. I'm not picking on you, I'm sorry. I love you. Japanese, Chinese. Ellie, are you in here? Raise your hand. Ellie is from South Africa. Kenya. He speaks Swahili. Anybody in here speak Swahili? Besides you and your wife. So if you went up and started talking to him, and he started talking to you in Swahili, you're not going to understand a thing. And, well, he speaks English, but if you went to somebody from Kenya that speaks Swahili and you talk to them in English, they're not going to know what you're saying. In heaven, they do. Because you talk to them in English just like you normally talk. When they hear it, it's going to be in perfect Swahili or perfect Japanese or perfect Spanish with every nuance, every dad, every little thing like that, every dialect. It's going to be translated, absolutely, not translated. It's going to be, they're going to hear it exactly perfect. Maybe even better than they can speak it. But they will understand it. And then when they talk back to you, you will know exactly in English what they're saying. All of their changes, all their dialects, and you will hear everything in English. So when you go to another country, you will have that ability to talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place. And Jesus, that's one of the abilities you will have in heaven. So there won't be a friend. There won't be a barrier. And likewise, you will be able to have dinner with all of them. Because the food that you eat dissipates. It doesn't retain in your body. There's no waste. You will enjoy the meal. It's to share friendships, cultures, and you will do that throughout the world. And you will taste. And it's amazing. And you'll never, ever have any misunderstandings because there's nothing lost in the translation. Now, Ellie, I'm not picking on you, but thanks, Ellie. I did you probably heard some of the music I did earlier, and it's pretty much in English. Well, Ellie is from Kenya, and he wanted Swahili, so he got me in trouble with God, and now I am singing in Swahili. So we're doing I'm actually singing the Bible in Swahili for them, and we're going to do albums for Swahili for South Africa. But there's no way that I can do it without messing up, without God. And God gave it to me to do it. And I'm going to assume that what he's saying is true because he's the one from Kenya, not I. He said this is direct, absolute, perfect translation. Everything. God can do that. Only in heaven it's done on a whole bigger scale. So when you get to heaven, you are going to eat. You're going to sup with friends. You're going to have friends over. And you can have Jesus over for dinner. And I know there's a lot of people, but let's not forget, he's omnipresent. So he may be at 100 dinners a night. That boy is going to be full. Not really, because you don't get full, okay? All right, so yes, you get to talk with loved ones and recognize each other. You don't get to talk to loved ones. This is the other part of the question. If they're in heaven and you're here, you don't get to talk to them. I am sorry. This is something that some people might not want to hear, but I'm going to tell you because it's the truth. All right, when I was in heaven, Jesus showed me and taught me that when you go to heaven, every person that enters heaven, he has a conversation with. And he explains to them that in heaven there is no sin, there can be no temptations for sin. That was one of the reasons why Satan got cast out of heaven. I'm not going to go any further than that, honey. All right? Because of his pride joining or governing his free choice. When you enter heaven and Jesus talks to you, he says, while in heaven, you cannot look down upon your loved ones. You cannot interfere. You will not know, as he told me, what happened to Carol. You will not know what happened to your loved ones. It will be as if they never existed. You won't even remember them. Now, I know that may hurt some of you, but wait, okay? You might not remember them, he says, until they come. And then everything will be opened again as if you never were apart. He says, I will block that until they do come here. Because if I couldn't, and you could look down on them, if you could interfere with them and you look down, they may be doing something that's going to cause injury to them, or maybe doing something that would anger you or you wouldn't agree with, or make you jealous. Who knows what it would be? But those are not allowed. He says, therefore, I will not allow you to look down. You won't remember them, because if he could remember them, you would worry about them. And you can't do that in heaven. Therefore, I will block that. He said, however. Remember I told you if he said ever, however, listen. This is a good however. He said, however, I will send my comforter that will kindle that love that they have inside, that will make sure they know that you're okay, to make sure that they love, that they have his love, agape love, is kindled for you and stays alive. He says, my love, agape love, is the only emotion that transcends death. Carnal love from here does not transcend death. Okay, I'm seeing it. How long? Oh, good. I might get through 3 questions. So agape love transcends death. And agape love is what's in heaven that ever connects you. If you have his love in your heart, and you have his love in your heart, and you have his love in your heart, are you two related? But that love still connects you. Now, when your loved ones are left behind, he said, what happens is this. And I need to tell everybody this, and I tell everybody this because he wants everybody to understand this. If they feel that love, that's because it's their love, his love. And that transcends death. He says, I know that my love is in you, your heart is correct, because you're in heaven. But the one left behind doesn't know that because nobody knows anybody else's heart. Love can be faked. Salvation can be faked. And it is done all the time. But what you can't fake is his love because it's real. And he says, now if they feel that love, and I will kindle that, and I will give them remembrances. I will give them visions. I will give them dreams. They will have smells, familiar places. They will be able to walk in and go, oh, I remember when I was here with Carol. I remember when we went out and we had dinner and it was just the two of us and we just, remembrances. Even though we're not together, I will remember that and I will love that. Cherished memories. A small voice you might hear. You may hear it. A dream. Whatever the case may be. He says, that's me. Rekindling it. So when you feel those things, that's not your loved one doing that. That's Jesus. That's God comforting you, caring for you in their stead until you get there. Now it does 2 things, and this is a double-edged sword, and I'm going to tell you the other part of the sword in a minute because you need to understand that too. So when you have lost somebody, you didn't lose him, you know where he's at. When someone passes and they die, and you miss them and you still feel that love. Years later, you still feel that love. There's a reason for that. First of all, that love is kindled by the Holy Spirit throughout that time, and it will never die. His love never dies. Carnal love will die. Love of this world will die. His love will never die. And when you feel that love, that tells you 2 things. 1, your heart is correct with God because he lives in you. And 2, it tells you that your loved one's heart was correct and he lives in heaven. And you know he's in heaven because you wouldn't have those feelings for him if he were not. So it guarantees you that he is in heaven, or she, or a child, whomever the case may be. That love is there, they're in heaven, and it also tells you that your heart is correct. And we've all had people, whether we want to admit or not, that we know have died, and we're kind of indifferent. Well, they died, okay. Yeah. You don't feel any love loss. You don't continue to mourn for them or worry or love them. And I know this is hard for you because I know that. That's okay. She's there. She's there. Both of them are there. That love tells you they're in heaven. Tells you your heart is right. So you learn two things there. Your heart's right, you know you're right with Jesus, and it's not going away. The other edge of the sword is this. If you know your heart is right, and you don't feel anything for that person, they're probably not there. It's terrible to say, but it's true. Everybody's not going to heaven. He would like that, but everybody's not. Or there wouldn't be a hell. There would be no hell. It's sad, but it's true. But we want to get as many there as we can. He does. So that's not there. But now, if you really know that he's there, it might be your heart's not right either. Now also, here's another thing. Now, if you know you have a loved one that passed and you feel that love still, you know your heart's right, you know their heart's right, and this is where you got to be careful with that knowledge. This is some knowledge that you can run away with. It's not to give you the ability to start judging other people. Well, they made me mad. I don't love them anymore. They can't be right with Jesus. I know my heart's right. No, you're just being influenced by pride, okay? So don't start going out and saying, judging people. Oh, I don't feel any love for you. That doesn't mean your heart isn't right. That might mean that you're just being influenced by outside things of pride, self-serving, jealousy, anger, whatever the case may be. So don't use that as a tool to start governing in your mind whether the other person's in heaven are going to be or is right. But do use it for your loved ones, because if you feel that, that's reassurance for you. Your heart is correct. And you will one day be in heaven with them, and then in the new heavens and the new earth. So you will be rejoiced. And then be happy for them. You don't have to grieve. Grieving is normal. Be happy for them because they are happy. They are safe. And the grieving process is for us here. The one in heaven doesn't feel it because it's been blocked. But we experience the sadness. And that's fine. That's normal. That's our love, our empathy. And when he does that for you, that's reassuring you that the sadness, because they're gone, because of what happened, it's reassuring. I'm not picking on you, but I know you need this. The reassuring is telling you and confirming that they are absolutely in heaven with Jesus. And they're being blessed. Remember that. Okay, let's get to another question. How long do I got now? 13. He rolled his eyes. What? Oh my God, he's got another 13 minutes. All right. Let me try. I tried to pick out short questions, and it's impossible. Okay. Okay. My son passed at 16 years old. Could you explain what you learned from Jesus about restoring the time that was stolen by the enemy? Yes, I just did. He will restore that time with you. He will restore it. Your son would be 16 now? I don't know who asked this question. I'm going to assume it says, oh, he passed at 16. I don't know how long ago that was. Whoever it is, you don't have to raise your hand. It's not important. If he passed 5 years ago, he would be 21 now if he were here. But remember, there's no time in heaven. So when you get there, you won't have lost a thing. He'll be 16 when you get there, and you'll still get to be that, spend that time with him. So it will be restored. It's never been lost. It's just in good safekeeping in the hands of Jesus. And he's holding it for you because it was a gift. And he says, I understand he got lost in baggage at the airport. But I will give you that time back when you get here. So yes, it will be restored. How was that? It didn't even take 10 minutes. Okay. Let's see. What did Jesus tell you about him going to people right before they pass away to give them another chance to accept them? Is that common with the Lord? Yes and no. I don't know, is the lady from the hospice here today? I talked to her last night. Another, oh, I know. Don't wipe it on my pants. I know. Thorn in the side or keeper? I don't know. Thank you, honey. Okay. So, coming to you just before you pass. He does not come on and show up and say, okay, now I'm going to give you another chance. Remember, your brain retains everything. Remember I told you that when we witness to somebody and we give them information about Jesus, we can't convince, we can't change, we can't save. But he's hovering and his word is working continually. It might be 20 years, 50 years, 30 years, 2 years. We don't know when that time will be. Now, a loved one who's there on the deathbed, if they have been exposed to Jesus, that may be their moment of accountability. That now now I realize what it is. And yes, Jesus, I really do understand. And it's possible at that point, because they got it before, presented to them, he was working, he was hovering, he was working. His word works in his time, not ours. But they did accept and say, yes, I accept the payment that you paid. In that case, yes, they would enter heaven, even though it was at the last moment. But if they don't accept him before they die, no, they're not. Which is why it's important that we talk to people, even if they're she talked to me every day. I was dead and she was talking to me. That woman talks to a dead man. Rubbing my hands like she's going to get all that, you know how dead people puff up? She's going to rub it out. She'd rub it out and come right back in. When you're talking to a person who is very, very ill, hospice, and I explained this to the lady in hospice last night, whether they're in a coma or in a state that you don't think they're comprehending, trust me, they can hear every word you're saying. And they can understand emotions. They might not be able to move their hands. They might not be able to respond by talking to you or looking at you, but they can hear you. It's important at that point, even though you may think it's futile, to explain Jesus to them.
I got to tell you a story. Is this on?
Hold on, I'm going to finish this first. No, it's important that you explain to them, even though you explained to them before, and say, remember what I told you about Jesus? It's true, it's real. Just accept his payment. And that may be the moment that they accept him. So in that sense, they can hand. But it's also important for us to reach everybody we can to explain salvation to them and then leave it. They don't have to say it right now. Leave it. You don't. He's Holy Spirit's a gentleman. He doesn't force himself on anybody. Why do you want to? Explain it, leave it, let Jesus and God, let them do their work. You did yours. Go ahead, cut me off.
Okay, so he just said, when you don't think they can hear you, they really can. So a friend of mine's a physician, and she said, do you talk to him? Oh, yeah, I talk to him. I tell him, get home, get the dishes done. You've got to mow the lawn. No. She said, I need you, just get a book and read to him. Does he have a favorite author? We do. So I brought this book in now. He is heavily sedated with propofol. Nothing on his body will move. I pull up my chair and I start the first chapter. And I'm reading and I'm reading and I'm reading. And I said, babe, it's lunchtime. I wouldn't eat in his room because he couldn't eat. After lunch, we'll do chapter 2. So I come back in. I've had lunch. I pull up my chair next to him and I say, are you ready for chapter 2? And he goes, swear to truth.
I didn't want to hear that.
Is it me or the material? I never knew. He did not want me to read any more of his favorite author.
I didn't want to hear it. Sorry, that's not what I wasn't on. I was concentrating on another thing. I didn't want to hear it. I was too busy being dead. No. But, thank you, honey. But it's true. They can hear everything that you are going to say to them. So comfort them, talk to them. They might not answer, but they may only reply with a blink. That may be all they can do. They might not be able to move anything because their brain doesn't have the ability to do those functions. But the last thing in your brain that goes is the ability to hear, reason, understand, and emotion. When that's gone, it's gone. So yes, they can. It is important at the last moment that they do. And a lot of times you will see them go, and they'll be looking around and they start seeing things that you can't see. And that's seeing it open up and you know where they're going. They were enlightened at that point. So yes, it does happen. Yes. Okay, time for one more? Okay, how long do I have? I'll pick a short one. Huh. 6 minutes. I'm not laughing at you. How is my Phil friend doing? I don't know. I finally got a question I couldn't answer. If he's in heaven, he's doing fine. If you feeling, no, all right, I joke on that and I apologize if I offended you. I really don't mean to do that. See, Jesus got me real quick there. That was kind of self-serving, I apologize. If you feel those feelings of love that I talked about earlier for Phil, whoever it may be, if they're even in here now, I don't know. If, in fact, you're feeling that love, that agape love, and that's reassurance to you that they are in heaven. And if they are in heaven, Phil is doing fine. He's doing better than we are because we're still grieving. We're still worried. And we're still dealing with everything here, with all the temptations that we have. So Phil is doing fine if he's in heaven. It's the closest thing that I can give you an answer to that. And I do apologize if I made jest of it. I did not mean to do that. And I truly, truly am sorry. That was just me. That wasn't Jesus. And yeah, he's talking to me about it right now. Okay. Did you talk with anyone else in heaven? The only person that I talked to in heaven was my dad. Jesus allowed that. And then he erased that from his memory. But he allowed me to do that to show me part of my teachings, that loved ones are there. They do remember you when you get there and so on. A little bit more than that, but shortened version. And I talked to Jesus. That was it. Did I see Abraham, Moses, disciples, Adam and Eve, all those people? Yes. Did I talk to them? No. Because Jesus, when he took me back through time to teach me these things, he would show me what was going on, and he would explain what was happening, what they were thinking. Look at this. This is what you can see this. All the way through, whether it was Moses, the parting of the Red Sea, this is what's happening. This is why. He showed me, I'm not going to get into that part again because I know I'll start crying. But everything. He explained everything that he wanted me to know and showed me. But I did not get to interact and talk to them. So no, those are the only two. And the reason for that was this. I know now, I wasn't a full resident of heaven. He knew I was coming back. And it would not have been beneficial to him or me if I were to talk to other people, because they cannot communicate with us when we're here. Now, he opened a special thing with my dad so I can understand, but no, he didn't allow me to talk to others. I got to see, but I did not get to communicate or talk. They didn't know that I was there, because remember, I was like here with Jesus, hovering through the dimension of the time as he took me through history from creation on, and he explained it to me. Okay? If any of you got my second book, you'll get a better understanding of how he taught me, because that is a direct transcript between Jesus and I as if you had a court reporter recording everything that Jesus said, everything that I said, everything in the surroundings, and explaining everything just as he taught me. Now, that is not from creation on. This is just from, sections that he wanted out there because he wanted that information out to people now, and it's pertinent to what's going on now as far as the church and so on and everything else. So when you read that new book, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And by the way, that new book is 278 pages, and it took Jesus 11 hours to type it through me. And then took it to the printer. We didn't get it edited. There was no changing a thing. Jesus is amazing. Okay. How is my sister in heaven? I'm going to answer this the same way. If you feel that love, she's absolutely wonderful. She's happy. I had 5 miscarriages. Will I know them? When I get to heaven, will they know me? Is it true that we still be learning in heaven? When you get to heaven, yes, you will recognize them. They will recognize you because you're going to get to raise them. So you're going to have 5 babies at one time. But there's a couple of advantages here. You won't have to potty train. You won't have to change diapers. And I'm going to preface that with this is kind of a crude product, but it's a reality. The reality is here we have to take restroom breaks. And there's reasons for those restroom breaks. Well, those reasons do not exist in heaven. Because here we do it to get rid of waste that we eat and drink and so on. In heaven, it's manna. And it goes and it dissipates out. There is no waste. So you don't have to worry about that in heaven. So you don't have any diapers to change, potty training. I don't think you're going to go through the terrible twos because you're going to be raising them in a perfect environment and in heaven. Okay? So don't anybody here think, well, I see, I got a cop over here. That doesn't give you an excuse. Well, I'm going to have this baby and just abort it right at the end. I'll have the baby in heaven so I don't have to do all the crazy stuff. Don't do that. I can't take another. I was going to read another question. Are we taking for lunch now? Okay, we're going to have lunch. I'll still be out in the lobby because I promised some of them that I know food. I understand. I'm not worried about that. How long do we have to eat?
20 minutes.
Well,
No.
I'm taking
an hour and a
half an hour?
Hour and a half.
All right, so for an hour and a half, you can go and eat. I'll be in the lobby because I know some of you still want a book signed, and we'll be out there to help you with that.
We're going to eat and then both.
Well, go and eat. I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry.
While you guys go, Robert, let me handle this part. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour and 45 minutes. Is that what it is? At 2? No. Okay, figured out. 1:45. Okay, there's for those that have traveled a ways, right up the street, go right, and there's 1960, and there's all kinds of restaurants right around there, and then the bookstore will be open later on. You can go out and give them heaven or have some food, and we'll see you in a bit.
When the waters rise and storms surround